Hey guys, what's up? I'm just touching base with you on this episode that is about to be played right now. Little disclaimer here. The video did cut out from the 4-minute mark to the 13-minute mark. It also cuts out again at the 26-minute mark to the 30-minute mark. It's an over 2-hour long episode. There's plenty of good content on there. I just wanted to touch base with you guys, let you know it's only for about a combined total of 12 minutes. I did put up some stills with a disclaimer on the bottom for those frames, but don't lose interest. If you want to skip ahead, do so, but please don't skip the whole episode. It's not all like that. It's just a few pieces of it. It was about 105 degrees out here when we recorded it. Um, we're probably never going to have a problem like that again, but we obviously had some technical difficulties. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button. Appreciate it. Let us know what you think of this episode. It was awesome. Later.
All right, guys, we're back with the Wolves Den podcast. Thank you for joining in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button before we get started. Follow us at Wolves Den House, and then go ahead and get your merch at Tactical Inc. So we're here today with Bobby, Officer Bobby, and Officer Ray. So before I start this podcast, I just want to say anything that is said in this conversation is merely personal opinions that are based on individual experiences and insights that are in no way related or affiliated with any of the host and guests' current employment. You guys got that? Welcome to another
What if you don't have a job?
Huh?
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get started with so today both of our guests have over 52 years of law enforcement experience together. So Bobby, Officer Bobby B, is a law enforcement officer for 25 years in the South Bay area. He's been a range master, a field training officer for 16 years, a crime scene investigator, a gang task force, officer safety instructor, mobile field force, and an honor guard. And he's also been a badass motherfucker.
Thank you. And then, last but definitely not least, we got Ray Ray right over here. NorCal Bay Area, Emergency Services Unit, Peer Support Team Member, Critical Incident Response Team, Firearms and Tactic Instructor, and Part-Time Police Academy Instructor.
So if you guys are tuning in right now, just go ahead and grab that coffee or grab that beer if it's on an evening and listen to this. We're going to have some interesting topics today. So turn up your headphones and go ahead and give us a listen. So we're going to start with some topics. You want to start?
Yeah, I wanted to get down a couple things with you guys. We got a lot to cover, but we definitely had some awesome stuff right off the bat. But what are your means of survival like with your guys' job?
So in terms of, and this is something me and Brother Ray Ray totally engulf into our training, is the fighting mindset. You got to have a fighting mindset, especially you're out there, whether if you're brand spanking new out of the academy or you're a solid veteran, over 20, 30 years on. Times are different now. And rule number one, you got to have that fighting mindset. Secondly is you got to be physically fit. I'm going on my 26th year. I work out 5 days a week. Cardio, lift weights. I try to go to the range at least, twice a month, maybe even more. But that also factors into the fighting mindset when you're getting ready for the job. Brother Ray?
Couldn't agree with you more. In terms of survival, for me, it's faith. When I leave the house, get into the locker room, get into a car, get out on the street. Faith plays important, more so now as I got a little older. Of course, piggyback what Brother Bobby B had mentioned about, being physically fit. I can say now I'm not 100% physically fit, but through mindset, I also know that I'm not going to put myself into something I don't think I get myself out of, and or jeopardize and put someone else safety. With that, good example with Brother Eric, I'll say it'd be like our dogs when it comes to canine. I'm getting this new realm of being in the canine, training dogs and whatnot. And start with the dogs that I have. Malwa, you let that dog go, and you be sure when he's chasing someone, he'll probably want to go through the window of a car to get through. Whereas my German Shepherd, he's going to go around the car. little difference. Still trying to perform the job it needs to do, but just different on their approach. And so as I've gotten older and seen things and through my experiences, my approach is a little different on how I do things. Yes, there are things that I can do, and sometimes spontaneously it can happen, but it's all a gamble. But when it comes to your safety, yeah, you got to have that fighting mindset, and it starts when you get out of bed.
Yeah. Where do you guys get your fighting mindset from? Like, where do you think it comes from? Like, you think it's still something from you when you're a child, like your dad instilled it to you, like the fighting mindset of like, if shit hits the fan, I'm gonna fucking make it home today.
So,
Right?
so real quick, it kind of funny, but it kind of ties into, especially me and Ray are American Filipinos. The Filipino people are the great pretenders. They can mimic anything. We were able to go to the Philippines and train the Philippine National Police in terms of tactics and stuff, and we showed those guys entry move. They literally mimicked it. So going back to the fighting mindset, I can speak for myself. I've been trained by Green Beret, Special Forces guys, SWAT guys, very well trained guys, and if you can mimic those guys, because they've been in it, they've been in the thick and thin. If you can mimic them and just translate that into your training cadre, oh man, it starts opening up doors, and your officer safety just widens. It gets down solid, especially if you get in a hot situation. It's like nothing, especially if you get into an officer involved shooting or high stress situation, it just kicks in.
For me, fighting mindset starts with how I go by every day, and I use kind of these metaphors. For example, when I'm coming out the corner, coming out to fight, it's this idea that I got to keep fighting. Fighting in the mind, fighting in the spirit. Having said all that, how I go about doing things, it's based on training. But training is something you need to do. And it's like perishable skills. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you also got to learn these skills and learn from credible people. Likewise, I've gone through schools with a variety of people, from veterans, different armed forces, different levels of law enforcement, some better than me. And so I learned that I didn't think were that, but I've learned something. In the end, I think it's really keeping an open mind and knowing what your objective is. That's it. When I was younger, that thing don't work, that technique don't work. But also being in martial arts, and if you understand this, not one all techniques is going to work. Not one knockdown is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So you better have some options. You better have that magic hat where you can pull from, because that's how I see things today.
Yeah.
Interview me when I was 25, shit, I'm running and gunning, I'm knocking doors down, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Today's a little different. I'm not jumping fences. Back in the days, I was trained. I was kind of, expected to jump fences. You jump out the car, you're jumping fences. It's dangerous to do that. We won't do that. We've learned. I've been to funerals of cops, and so we have to learn. And policy takes its place, and therefore, you slow down and you assess the situation, and with everything you have in your mind, then you make your decision.
But when you guys are leaving your homes, like in the morning, go to work, and it's for a roll call, what's going on in your heads? Like, what are you thinking? Are you thinking anything? Like when you're shutting that door, saying goodbye to your family, or just getting in your car normally? And just to give the listeners an idea, because there's some people that think it's just easy to become an officer. I'm gonna go to work today and do this, write people tickets. That's not how it works, right? So what's going on through your mindset? Like, what are you guys feeling?
Fuck. The fuck did I sign up for this overtime? I have more things to do. I learned at 18 years, all the time I put in not being with the family, and it's caught up. For example, next week we're going to a college graduation of my niece, who I thought my wife said we're going to, was her middle school graduation. Boy, was I wrong. It's because I've taken myself out of the picture, in terms of what I want to do. So going back to your original question about what do we think about what when we set a door. Again, it's all just metaphors and analogies, but again, like you're wearing a hat, I'm wearing a hat. We're actually all wearing a hat. I don't think we all got the email to get that hat on, but I digress. We all got to wear different hats, and we'll go with our apparel, whatever we feel like, right? Not always time I come out the door think, okay, we got to do this work. No, usually that's saved for later, right? I don't walk around every 30 seconds, okay, work this, work that, work that. Maybe when we were younger, not so much, because we're grown-ups. We have other responsibilities. If there's anything I will say that when I leave the door of my house, is to come back. There's no guarantee, but it's for me to come back home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with Brother Ray Ray. Once we leave that door, our primary mission is to come back to our family. Secondly, is to protect the public. We're held to a higher standard. We took an oath, and for the people that cannot protect themselves, especially when it comes to violent crimes involving weapons and vicious assaults, we're trained to handle that. So, leaving that door, a lot of people say, "Oh, that guy's or that guy gal is getting paid to take that." No, we're not getting paid to take that. We're getting
That's your job.
Yeah, that's your job.
That's your job.
No, it's not our job to get shot or killed. Our job is to safeguard the public, to safeguard property, enforce the laws, and do it to our best ability. But us getting killed in the line of duty is not part of the job.
No.
So that's why a lot of officer safety, instructors like Brother Ray Ray, myself, are really hard on our trainees, on our recruits, because we want them to survive the engagement.
Yeah.
The reality, though, today maybe there's people who don't want saving.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, how has your career so far in law enforcement shaped your view of society and human behavior? Because, like you just kind of said, sometimes people don't even want it, and there's no gratitude, or no, I shouldn't say gratitude, but gratefulness. Even if something is saved, some people are so, set in their ways, thinking one way that you're walking into a situation where it's unappreciated help. So, like, what's basically, to go back to my question, how has your view of the society changed since you've been in law enforcement?
I believe my response to that is secondary in terms of the public, the community we do serve. Our career, this profession, it really falls down to perception. It's really optics. If we didn't have social media, if we didn't have cameras, I come up in a time we didn't have body-worn cameras. Our word, what we write in a report, was it. And there's certain laws, Proposition 115, it's a hearsay law. You tell me something, I can actually, on your behalf, testify, and it's like gold. Whereas today, they have this thing called Brady lists. If you're on this list, it's called the Brady list. It's a court case law that deems you uncredible. And there are people who are on this list. In fact, the state of California now has the SB2, where you can be decertified, and that's part of the Brady list. But going back to this whole thing with perception of optics, it's how the people perceive us. Yes, we can go about doing the job, but it's no different that you see a cop car, black and white, whatever the case may be, comes up, typical, let's say, business district. Everyone's looking at the cops. Oh, who are they here for? What's going on, right? That strikes some sort of emotion, right? Whether, here they are again, you're here to fuck with somebody, you're here to arrest somebody. Or maybe we're just here to go buy a burrito.
Right.
I've been in a situation where I'm just standing in front of a shop, drinking my coffee, talking to you or another citizen walking by, and others think I'm fucking with you. Oh man, they're fucking with Ryan. What the fuck he do? Oh, you don't know fucking pigs.
And they don't even hear what you're saying.
Right. Look at these pigs. They got nothing better to do but to fuck with the homie over here. leave them alone. The dude don't have a job, but they're fucking with them, not knowing that we actually have a relationship.
Right.
But see, today, because of a small portion of divisiveness, has created this whole thing that, oh, you're one thing, I'm one thing, because I represent something on the law, regardless of the color of my skin. I'm the law, and I'm fucking with you, or I'm fucking with somebody else. Those are optics. So now to answer on our end, what we think of the community, I mean, we still go out and we serve the community best that we can. But I don't know how Bobby does it. For me, when I was training, and I would tell, they're not even young anymore, but young in terms of like time of service. But when I talk about your comprehension as an adult, not everyone's going to appreciate what you do. Not everyone's going to like what you do in terms of, and then they can perceive what you are and kind of lump you on with all these kind of people, bad cops, and then make that judgment on you. You as an individual need to either get past that, stay the course, or be bitter or jaded and not even want to help the community. I mean, that is something we sign up for, is to really help the community. The hardest part is making that bridge. Like, I have the gift of gab, so I have no problem. I like talking to strangers. I like talking to crazy people. When you really listen to a crazy person, if they're really crazy, you kind of got to wonder, wow, they're speaking stuff that I find interesting. It's not all together. It still makes it interesting for me. Mm-hmm. So I'll talk to them.
Yeah.
Right?
I think everyone's got a story, like you just said.
Everyone has a story.
Everyone has a story, And having the gift of gab is cool. Because when you're younger, everyone just tells you you're a loudmouth and you never shut up. But it's cool when you get older, because then it's like, oh, it's an actual admirable trait that some people actually look up to.
You can de-escalate situations.
Of course, definitely.
You're having a problem, an issue, you're frustrated, whatever the case may be. He shows up. He's young, done, and he right and go. In fact, he probably don't want to be there because it's petty. It's not something, a young cop wants, not all, but maybe wants to just go chasing bad guys. Right. Well, not everybody is a bad guy. Not every city has a lot of bad guys. But you don't have to do with other stuff like, oh no, my kitty's in the tree, or I'm having a landlord issue. This guy or a squatter's in the house. You don't belong there, right? When you're frustrated, you call us because you want something there. Say an officer, he don't even want to be there, so he shows up and he's like, "What do you want?" Of course, you can be like, "What do you mean, what I want?" Like, the tone of voice, how you talk, and say you guys just don't click. Do you really need to? This is something you can't do yourself. Why do you call us? This is not even a 911 kind of thing, right? Yeah. I've seen it. I've been there. I've heard it. Then I get the call because you're a senior guy. Not using Bobby's example, but say another officer just doesn't vibe with that other person. Mm-hmm. Now here I show up, and now I talk to you. I somehow de-escalate the situation. Some people still call it the bad cop, good cop role. Maybe.
But you came to a solution, and you got
a solution. Yeah. And we got out of it.
Exactly. And you're able to move on to something else.
Exactly.
Because the problem is, if you leave it, I mean, you guys know this. If you leave it, then they're going to complain, and then there's some bad bullshit you got to deal with because of that, and then you got to go back. So it's sad, but and it really is more sad than beneficial in a lot of ways, because it's allowing the wrong people of giving a lot of the wrong people a voice. It's a lot of Karens. Mm-hmm. And we don't need representation for them.
Kens.
I don't. Yeah.
Darren's.
Karens, whatever in between. But it's just.
What do they call Kevin?
It's like everyone's got a damn voice, like, for sure.
What I have a question for you guys. So, can you describe like a moment of like where you're like, oh shit moment? Like, what did I get myself into? Like, I'm in this fucking situation. I'm in this shit now, and what did I get myself into? How can I get myself out of the situation?
Well, just recently, going on over a year now, we had a officer-involved shooting. It's already been completed. And I had a trainee at the time who was brand spanking new. And we were going over some paperwork, and we get a call of a deputy hit, deputy down, officer involved, or deputy involved. And we responded. There was original officers that actually arrived on scene It ended up being a barricaded suspect with multiple assault weapons, and it was barricaded and was shooting at the deputies that were there and also incoming officers. The first team that got there, my brother works with me, and his team arrived on scene at first, and they were able to extract the original deputies out of there to get some life-saving medical. I had this trainee, mind you, this is his first call in uniform, first time driving Code 3 with the lights and sirens from all the way to the east side, and training kicked in. As a senior instructor, I told him, you know what, just breathe, take your time, combat breathe. We're going to be useless if we crash or don't get on scene. So we eventually arrive on scene. We load up with our load-bearing gear and tactical vests and helmets, and we get over there, and sure enough, gunfire, getting shot at, and my first thing is, okay, are the deputies out? Okay, I see the deputies. They're coming out. We help extract them out, cover them. But my brother's squad was pinned down, and you can, obvious, automatic gunfire. And the whole street was completely blocked off. So the only way that we could get our armored MRAPs in there is to clear all the patrol vehicles, but it was in the line of fire. So I looked at my new kid, and I treat him like all my kids. I told him, "You ready?" He goes, "I'm ready." All right, just keep your head down. So, obviously I got to worry about myself, but I have another person that I am fully 100% responsible for. So I'm with him, covering him as we're moving each patrol vehicle out of the way. So the armored MRAP was able to get in there, bust through the gate, and extract my brother's squad. And it worked out fine. We ended up flanking him, waiting till we get relieved by our SWAT team.
That is definitely a holy shit moment.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oof.
What are you thinking? Like, shit, I shouldn't have been FTO right now.
No, like we talked about earlier. Your fighting mindset.
Yeah.
We trained so hard in Salinas. Out of 100, I think we're going 152 years. 152 years, we've had one fatality in terms of gun violence, which is Officer Jorge Alvarado, and a motor officer in 1940s. He died in a motorcycle accident. So those are our two fatalities out of 152 years. So we take our training very seriously at our agency.
That's good.
Yeah, I had some bounty hunting cases out of your guys' city and county, and holy shit, you guys are dealing with some real deal shit, man.
Oh yeah, like I was talking to Brother Ryan earlier. We were running ops 5 years ago, and there was a U.S. Marshal there. This is what he said: "Holy shit, Bobby, this is a target-rich environment." And I looked at him. I go, "No shit."
Dude.
Like, yeah, and I got to come to work tomorrow too.
That's what I was telling him. Like, going up there, it's like, I remember like we had cases in Chinatown.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, and it's a whole different.
It's
We set
fourfold
surveillance
now.
at like night, and it was bad at night. There'd just be two of us. You call your guys' department. Hey, there's two of us out. Like, they don't give a shit.
We're short-handed.
Yeah. You guys are on your own.
You're not a podcast?
Yeah.
Real quick too, something that just pops into my head when you guys are talking about all this. Like, now every day you're doing your jobs. Obviously, PR. There's PR within yourself too, not just the, bureau or the department. Because every day you got to go. You work with the same people in the community, good or bad, right? So they see you. They know who you are too.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do? What advice would you give maybe a new officer that's like, how do you balance like doing your job and politicking and being, I don't know how to word it, but like basically cooperative with the guys you got to work with in the neighborhoods?
Being professional.
Yeah.
Professional and empathize. My biggest thing now, and again, this is not something I created. This is not something I did when I was young, but yeah, get out of your car.
Mm-hmm.
Walk.
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna learn so much. You're gonna learn, and people watch you. Talk to people. Talk to the guys you're not gonna necessarily arrest right now. They may not want to talk to you, but they see what you're doing. Because I guarantee you, you take 5, and I don't want to profile, but in our jobs, yes, we tend to profile people. But you come across a group of guys, and maybe they're not so good, and maybe they may have a warrant, but you got to have a reason why you want to run them for warrants, unless you have carnal knowledge of that. But when you're walking through the neighborhood, talk to the guys at the businesses, talk to the guys who are hanging out, if there anybody walking and they're hanging out, talk to them. I guarantee you, out of like the 5 of a group, especially if it's mission specific, like, hey man, last week we had a shooting up the hill. If you guys can help us, that'd be great. Tell us what you know, who's beefing who, what, and where, and give us a heads up, because last thing you set them up, right? You guys heard what happened 6 months ago when so and so, their daughter was killed by a straight bullet. We don't want that, right? And when you bring it closer to home, not all, but at least some of them, maybe one of that group will be like, huh. And that's going to be that person that's going to probably hit you up on a back end and say, hey man, I got some info on this or this and that, right? But again, it's how you present yourself. I mean, you can be a door kicker and, take people down and take names later. That only goes so far.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess either through age or experience, or really if you're just a people person, how you go and you talk to people. You show them that much respect. You're not being in fear. None of that. You're not trying to hope to impose fear, maybe to the criminals later, but really you just want to get to know the people. You want to know who the players are on the block. When we call it 10-8 from the gate, meaning once you go in service or out and about, know who you're dealing with, what you're driving through, who you see. And then sometimes you'll see something that's funny. Good example, your local coffee shop, they always have the doors open. It's 2 p.m. I've been a night guy, so in the afternoon I'm like, wait a minute, why is the doors closed? Why the sign says closed? That's weird. So of course you may drive, especially if I go get my coffee there. Yeah, you see somebody inside, but yet the sign says closed. Could they be leaving, closing up early because something happened? Sure. Could there be an attempted robbery going on right now that you don't know what's going on? Because why would they normally be closed on a Wednesday at 2 p.m. when they know the majority of their business is going to come after 3 p.m.?
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of tangents, but again, get to know the people, get to know the players, talk to people. One thing I did learn from Old FT was this. He said, if you pretend you care, you'll go a long way. Now, that may sound kind of, I don't know.
No, I mean it's kind of political, kind of like what I was saying. It doesn't need to be true, but it's something to get a desired outcome.
Yeah, I mean, we're ambassadors.
People that aren't police do that too, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, it's part of survival.
But you gotta take it for what it is, and there's a time and place for everything. But you gotta. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's just it. There's a time and place for everything. And you can be that tough guy again, do all that stuff, and that's great. But I've learned and I've seen working in the areas that I've worked where I'd rather talk to Ray Ray because listen to me. I'll come up and I'll ask before I even ask him a question. Hey, how's it going? Hey, I saw your cousin in jail and I slipped him $20 on his books, right? Something I have to do, but I do it because maybe they help me out in whatever case way, or maybe because he's family. I grew up in a large city. I grew up in the hood, and I know a lot of people help. Now half of them are gone, but their sons, their nephews, they're in and out of the criminal justice system. I deal with it, right? So you have to be able to find that commonality to talk to them.
And then you find like the other generations that are younger, they respect you still because their family, right? Like some of them, like you might know the uncles, cousins. What primarily you're dealing with the city you're working in? What type of gangs are you dealing with out there? Is it red, blue, like or besides? I know what you're dealing with is more like the red and blue on your side, right? More than primarily, you don't really have the black gangs out there, do you?
Just the few of them that actually traverse from Seaside. They come into Chinatown.
Yeah.
And sling their dope. But for the most part, Salinas is the mecca of the NF. And, we have sprinkles of Sureños there, but not not more over Mexican mafia, but the sureños that are from Mexico.
So that was always been my question. Do you think most of that's happening because of the prison there? Because you guys have the prison scenario. You have Soledad, and then you have the Salinas Valley prisons there. That's actually like making it the stronghold.
Well, in terms of the stronghold, back in the '60s, I want to say 1968. That's the birth year of the Nuestra Familia out of Soledad prison. So, with all the inmates that are getting shipped from all over, the United States or even California to Soledad, what comes with the inmates comes with their families. So they're either living, in Monterey County, somewhere in Monterey County, close to Soledad prison. So it's generational. So once they get out, their kids, their grandkids are running the hood. So it's all generational.
And it's nuclear based, right? I mean, nucleus based, meaning, families want to be around families, especially in the Latino families, Asian families. They still tend to be together. My experience with the gangs, with to answer your question, ours primarily, we have the norteños, right? And then we do have the sureños. We have the black gangs. A lot of them are just street gangs. Different sets, different streets, different neighborhoods. But in terms of like where he's at, and he just answered more. What I know based on my experiences, those families who were raised with people living near the prisons because they simply want to be near their families.
And we're back. So I want to get back into right before you jump into your next topic, but I want to get back into the gang stuff we were talking about. So the guys you were dealing with. Sorry, we had a little mishap with the camera, but so you were saying that you're dealing with like the more Asians, Mexican gangs,
More so
like
blacks and Hispanic gangs.
Okay, how is that like dealing with them? Like, what do you see the difference at, or do you feel like the crime wise?
Well, right now it's about bipping. You still have your beefs, different sets, different turfs. With the Hispanic gangs, the same thing, but it's ironic. You'd be surprised, like when it comes to the norteños and sureños. At least from what I gathered, it was telling me too. It's like, sureños sell to norteño because it's just it's about money, and they know that the OGs are just getting high off the profits. They don't care. But it sends that mixed message, like, well, if the guys at top don't even care, then it doesn't matter. What green is still green. But this whole thing about red and blue and your set and turf, but.
And you guys see it trickle down from prison, like if a black gang's beefing with the Mexican gangs in prison, it's trickling down, and all of a sudden it's on the streets.
Go ahead.
Not more over in our county. A lot of it is a lot of these inmates are being paroled out, so they're restructuring and getting youngsters as their foot soldiers.
They're the ones doing the dirty work.
Yes, they're the ones that are doing dirty work. They're the ones that are getting their street cred, and you have obviously the leniency in crimes. So we'd hook somebody up for a misdemeanor or even a felony, they'd be out the next day because of the leniency in
crimes that are happening
on the crimes.
Because they know that the younger kids if they're putting the dirty work in, they're going to catch a lesser charge, or they're going to get less time because they don't have a criminal background.
Yes, that could potentially be it. But in terms of bail, there's like zero bail.
Yeah, they're trying to stop bail.
Yeah, unless you just do a homicide.
Yeah.
But you do a felony theft over $950. If you do get booked, you're gonna be out within an hour.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be right back out stealing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen it on the bail side, on the bounty hunter side. Like we've seen, like they were telling us already when they were trying to pass the proposition to cut bail out. They were already preparing us, like, you guys might not have a job because of the bail is gonna go away, and so that kind of has got a lot of us worried. Like, okay, we're not gonna have income. How are we gonna feed our families? And it was like constantly being pushed on us, like in our heads. And then they were trying to do that referendum or whatever it's called to get the signs, signatures, and so it was like a point of like it was scary. Like, how are we gonna? Because we're salary based. Like we also got a commission, but we were also salary based. So if our salary went away, we weren't out working. So what they did now with the bounty hunters is that they made them get a license, because a bounty hunter was down in LA, was a felon. They were checking the background. You can't be a felon to be a bounty hunter in the state, because you got to carry the firearm. So this other dude down there, he fucked it up for everyone. Supposedly got into a shooting, and there was a cop there, and they killed somebody. So now the bounty hunter killed somebody, and he wasn't even a bounty hunter. He bought it. You can get all this shit online. Buy all your stuff online, right? But so he wasn't a bounty hunter, and so now they're making everyone get a license, and then you have to have $1 million insurance policy. And how can bounty hunters afford $1 million insurance policy? So now it's like we're seeing with Bell, it's like talking to some of the Bell guys, they're only getting felony cases, they're billing out some of them, and not really the misdemeanor cases. Before we had cases of like 40, 50 cases a person, 50 caseloads. And now when I was leaving, we had like down to like 10, 8 cases, which sucks.
Oh yeah.
Because they're just letting everyone out.
Well,
It's
yeah.
just, and then they were trying to get it to the state, where the state would hear the cases like, okay, now you got arrested. Now you're going to go over to this state or the county, and they're going to put you on this little caseload, and they're not going to check on them, or they're not going to have, like a ankle bracelet on them, so it's like just running wild.
Yeah,
So-
and that all revolves with no accountability.
Yeah.
No accountability. They come out here, wreak havoc, pillage our society, and just get away with it.
Yeah, if you have like 500,000 cases out on forfeitures, right? 500,000 forfeitures out, and half of those don't go to or even like 100,000 of them don't go to court. Like you got 100,000 people running around on bail that has warrants out for their arrest, and they're just running around, and there's no one really there to take accountability to go after those people anymore. Because law enforcement, you guys are so busy. I don't believe you guys have the resources to go after everybody on bail, and be like, okay, I'm going to hook you now because you got a bail warrant out, or your warrant's out because you got a misdemeanor case or whatever it is. I mean, there were so many forfeitures that we saw out there that it was like, fuck, dude, like all these people are going to be running free. And I don't think people from the state of California realize like you got so many people out on bail right now and before that are just running wild.
You
Like
got guys
there's-
on ankle monitors.
Yeah, and we had
Committing
guys on
crimes.
ankle monitors cutting that shit off and then fleeing to Mexico. Like they were
Put it
cutting.
on YouTube, put it on TikTok.
Yeah, we had dudes that were on some serious charges for like rape allegations, even child molester allegations, and they had ankle monitors and they were cutting it off and then taking off to Mexico. Now our bail guys, our bail skip is in Mexico, and then we can't go to Mexico
Right.
to go arrest them.
Mhm.
We can find out where they're at, and then we can do paperwork to say, hey, they're in Mexico, and then submit it to the court. But then it's up to the DA to really want to go down there and pick them up or not.
Right.
So it's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
It's all fucked
This
up.
may
super
sound
hard.
cynical, and this is just my opinion, but sadly, this is all by design. All by design. And it just trickles down. Different level stages.
Yeah.
It's sad what our state has become and what it's doing with the laws. And I mean, now California's trying to propose another state law to where allowing illegal immigrants state-funded tax-paying jobs. You have police departments that are allowing non-U.S. Americans to become peace officers. Now, I'm a big staunch supporter of the Second Amendment. I support it, I preach it, I teach it, I train it. You're an American, whether you served or just being just a patriot. And now you got people, and now I'm talking broadly here, but it's just my opinion. Then if you think about it, now you have people who aren't even citizens, they're taking your guns from you.
Or we get and not to sound anything, I mean, just my opinion too is like we got people coming over from the border, and if there were Mexican police over there and they come and apply over here and they have corruption behind them, like imagine the corruption they're going to try to bring into the police departments, like if they're hired on, right? Because there's no background you can really do on someone that lives in a different country, right?
Well,
There's only
Here's something else to think about. If that's scary, what about the fact that the guys you're talking about already have had kids or 2 generations that are born here and are U.S. citizens and can do all that anyway? And then for all you know, are double dipping. And you can't prevent that at all. So I mean, I think that's when it comes down to. It's like you just said, some things are designed to work a certain way, and sometimes you can't get that train to stop moving. And I think this train's already left town. So for me, I don't even know shit about police and I don't know anything about law enforcement. I've never been a police officer, but I can see that as someone who lives in a community where it's just like eventually it's going to get to a point where no one's going to want to be a cop anymore. And it's already there.
It's already there.
But who knows? Maybe they're going to have robots do it, and if people think robots are going to be nice, you talk about police brutality. I mean, just
RoboCop.
Stop.
Yeah.
Law.
I didn't know I choked her to death. Like, yeah, dude. I mean, it's just like, so it's scary because we all know what's coming. And what's the scary thing is when it's there, how is it ever going to go back to a place where it can be civilized and safe?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, people who feel safe, the elitists feel safe, because they have either their own guards, or they live far away up in the hills, gated community. They don't have to worry about that. They live in their own little bubble, and then you got everyone else in between. That's pretty much in between. They have to fend for themselves. It comes down to actions as repercussions, and even no actions have repercussions. But even I'm cynical as to like, okay, well, voting the right people. Well, let's take California for example. We're a one-party state.
Oh yeah.
Even if we were to make change, even if we get they said Arnold Schwarzenegger was the last Republican governor, but okay.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is that even if we were to make the changes, have the people in place, it'll probably take another 20 years.
Yeah.
To work it out. And the other problem is the people who, the middle of the class, middle of the road people, they've left California. And they don't want to come back. As I look to retirement, potentially look at out of state.
Yeah.
Because the taxes, everything, when I'm on a fixed retired income, if I choose not to work, do anything else, a side hustle, and I got to go on my measly income, retirement income, well, I don't know if I could be able to afford it here.
You could stretch it a lot more somewhere else.
Yeah. Go places where the laws are the laws. And, it doesn't really, I get the scales of justice ought to be balanced. I do see the pendulum shifting at some point. But then again, in between that time, how many more victims, how many more people, how many more stories we need to hear, or lack thereof, from the politicians who are in place before we actually make good?
And you guys are seeing it firsthand on the streets. You guys are in the shit. You guys are every day in that fucking war zone, even though we're not seeing it on our side, but you guys see it every day. And I don't think that's what the general public doesn't understand. It's like when you guys go to work every day, you guys are going into the shit. You guys don't know what's going to happen. Fucking people are running wild. I mean, there's, you might go to a fucking domestic violence call and that could be fucking it, right? Like that. You guys are going into the shit every single day. And we see it as civilians on our side. I'm just turning the news on. Oh, why did that person get beat up or this, right? They don't know the whole entire story, right? So yeah, I feel like you guys are seeing like everything firsthand, from victims to like, when's this shit gonna end? Like it's getting worse. Like if the crime rates are going higher, the murder rates are going higher, it's like, when's enough gonna be enough? Not only that, you guys are dealing with street gangs to fucking drug dealing to human trafficking to all kinds of shit, right? Like, I mean, that's just the tip of it right now.
It'd be a little bit defining if we would just have consistency and accountability. Good example, when the Super Bowl was in town and they wanted to clear out areas, of course there's an eyesore. They made us clear people just 2 blocks away, just to keep a certain area looking clean.
Yeah.
So the people from out of town, the tourists who would come up, will be there. Oh, looks nicer. Only for when an event is to end. Okay, the homeless can come back. Everything go back. And then we're talking about accountability, like holding people accountable. Because if we don't, they become emboldened. And they tell you. I have that quick joke. They tell me all the time. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna walk out of this. And you know what? They're right.
Yeah, they do, right?
And so basically, what we're only providing to do is just a temporary situation. But a lot of this could be stopped. And this is my opinion. But I get it. People got to toe the line. The people up there, the politicians, even administrators in our own department. And I can go on and on with that. The administrators who are he probably tests with me. You have people who they come up with you and then they want to promote. They drink the Kool-Aid and they're trying to get to where they want to get, and then they kind of forget where they come from. But then now they're trying to sell us a bridge, knowing that bridge is going to collapse, and that's what it is right now. The bridge is collapsing, yet you want us to stand up and walk on it, stop other people from walking over the bridge that we know it's collapsing. But yet, if we walk that bridge a certain way, we get in trouble because we shouldn't be walking that bridge. We should be setting an example.
You think it's that they get comfortable behind the desk, and then they're trying to like get comfortable, or like comfortable. They're developing new policies every day, just trying to put down.
It's a variety of reasons. I mean, there's people who, in law enforcement, we like to say we hire people from all sorts of community, law-abiding, of course, but they all come from different mentality. If you come from a larger department, like my agency, we have a lot of different minds. Not everyone thinks conservatively. Not everyone thinks that, oh yeah, we're all about thin blue line and the blue. I mean, look at it. I mean, to some, there's other agencies, smart agencies, that you can't even display your thin blue line because, it's not a real flag, or it offends certain people. And this is your own colleagues, superiors, administrators. Why? Because they don't really want to deal with it, or they want to appease a certain group, or because maybe they're lining up for the next political gig. I don't know. These days, I say I kind of don't care. I just do my thing. Do my 8, hit the gate.
Well, do you think it's a bad thing? Oh, I shouldn't say it. Do you think it's an unfavorable thing to not, like, just for an example, like you're talking about the thin blue line, like, what if you are a police officer in your department and maybe you just don't want to participate with having it on there? And I don't know whether this is like a normal thing, but I'm saying, like, for me, I'd be like, maybe having it on there sometimes invites shit you don't want.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. But I'm just saying, like, is it still like considered like respectable if there was a police officer that was like, I'm still going to do my duty. I took my oath, but I don't need to put a sticker on my car that's going to put more crosshairs on me than
correct
needed.
Sure, you're absolutely right.
Does that person look kind of, I don't want to say cowardice, but
No.
Because we understand.
No.
And it's a degree of it's how much you can take it. For example, I know other states, because I've traveled around, and there's other states where they make plates that says law enforcement, this, that. There's a time when you can be proud of being firefighter, law enforcement, this, that.
right.
But as far back to think of Michael Brown incidents, the whole
George Floyd.
yeah, but I'm talking about like this whole Black Lives Matter movement, this whole anti-police rhetoric, this whole challenge authority, which that's fine. I think everyone should be able to challenge authority because I sure yourself do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, can you afford to have a target on your back by displaying? It's no different. Like again, I'm a big staunch 2A supporter, Second Amendment.
Right.
But you don't see me putting gun stickers on my windows.
Because guess who's gonna get probable cause or something if you get stopped?
People call that the gray man rule or attitude. I call it the brown man because I'm brown. But because I had a colleague and he puts the thin blue line, he puts the gun stuff. There was a time when they would think that, okay, that's a deterrent. Oh, he has guns. Oh, he's a cop, right? But now the coin goes to flip.
Right.
Oh, he got guns. Let's break in his car. He might have guns.
Right.
Or let's follow him home. Or let's break in his car.
Right.
We won't touch nothing but take a snapshot of his registration so we know where he lives.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe take the garage door opener.
Fuck. Yeah.
And then go to their house. And then go into their house.
It's happened, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But if you guys, okay, so if you guys were on your plate carriers or on your attack vest, anything like Punisher skulls, guns like that, and you get into a shooting, the DA, if you guys are being charged, right, criminally, like if it was like some wrongful shooting, right, are they going to turn around and use that against you, like the guns, like, oh, this guy is all pro gun and this is why he killed?
In court, they could probably try to paint, and usually it depends on what side you are, whether you're the prosecutor or the defense. But I see you get it because there was a case law. There was actually an officer who had on his personal patrol rifle, I think he had a skull on his a skull or something, Punisher, somewhere on his firearm, on his dust plate, and it's funny how they pick and choose certain groups.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're part of the prosecution, then the defense will come after you and say, "Oh, look, he's been wanting to kill people. He has a Punisher. He's racist, or
he's a fucking nerd and likes comic books."
Yeah. And even the people who are true full followers of the Punisher will say that they don't see the allegiance with law enforcement because
Was more vigilante anyway.
or vigilante.
Or
But
military.
that's so you can remember the court of law when you want to convict somebody, right?
It's
you only
it
need
doesn't.
one
It's not a
person
good look.
to
Yeah.
get doubt.
Right.
So if I paint this guy as this monster, trigger happy, gun toting, loves America but loves his guns, he's brown, so we can't call him white supremacist. But he's conservative. He's you see what I'm getting?
Yeah.
They paint a picture of you a certain way.
Mhm.
So to nip this in the butt, thin blue line, the gun stickers, or anything that has to do with remotely even close to perceived to being vigilantism, they're gonna paint you that.
Yeah.
So the question I ask you is, how much of that do you want to? How much ammo you want to provide to them?
Yeah. Exactly.
I haven't worn a uniform in a while, so I'm kind of I know where I'm at when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a private person myself. Like, I do a podcast with Eric, and what we say on here is a public forum. But
sure.
in my personal life, I mean, I'm very
And you have
choosy.
every right to have
of
your
how-
personal life.
But that's what I mean. Like, I think it's smart nowadays. I think it's a survival tactic more than ever to be selective on what you put out there, because we've talked about this on past episodes. Location sharing on social media, when you're there, it's not very smart. So it's like, even when I share posts, it's like I'm already gone. So it's like now I feel like it's safe. But what a weird fucking way to think. Like, where you're like, oh, I got my family with me, I shouldn't share where I'm at. I mean, you should be present, but it's kind of fucking ridiculous that you got to be that
Yeah.
preventative about all this shit nowadays.
I just say it's not weird. The sophistication level has changed. The game has changed because you have another side of people who are agitators. There are people out there who are looking to find a cop doing something just to get up in his face, shove a camera in their face.
Dude, how does that make you feel? Like you're sitting in your patrol car, just mind your own business, and I see it all the time on fucking YouTube, and it irks me, right? Like if you're just sitting,
They call themselves accountable.
First Amendment,
police
auditors.
accountability.
yeah, like how does that make you feel? Like, because even me just sitting in my car as a private person, right, or a civilian just sitting on my car, or even if I was bounty hunting, someone comes to my fucking window, what do you guys do in my neighborhood? That would just fucking throw me off, right? Because I'm in my mind doing something else. Like, how does that? You guys are worrying about fucking so much other shit going on. You're trying to do a report or whatever you got to do it. Here comes this fucking idiot knocking on your window. Like, how does that get you going? Like,
Well,
like, dude, just leave me the fuck alone.
yeah.
Right?
So typically, the ones in our county, the First Amendment auditors, they're very well known. So we already know them by face. However, our newer people don't. So they get a little agitated at 1st, and we let them know, they're exercising their First Amendment
yeah.
right. So, if we're in a public place, just as long as they're not endangering our officer safety, they can videotape. And we let our new folks know, just don't let it get to you. There's no difference. We have our body cams on, so just as long as you're doing everything safe and legal, have at it. Go ahead, film all you want. At first, yes, it was like you can't video us, but now we're
It's
so
all
used
over
to
the
it.
place, right?
Yeah.
The game has changed, and you just got to know how to play the game.
So some of these guys are out there filming. They're actually doing what they want to do, which is auditing the police and trying to get good stuff and making sure everything's accountable. Then you got guys who are taking it too far, trying to start shit, right? Like constantly in their face or going to buildings and like pushing that limit, right, for no reason, right? Like, so I mean, how are you guys dealing with that? Like,
Yeah. So if we're there on a call and we're there for a legal reason, a legal investigation, and if they're interfering with us, we will arrest them. Especially if they're getting up in our face, that's now an officer safety issue, and now they're impeding our investigation.
It's like
So,
obstruction, right?
yeah.
Yep.
148 of the penal code.
and they'll try to argue that to court,
They
right?
can try to argue that, but
Oh.
everything's on. You can check their camera. You can check our body cams.
Yeah.
There's
They're
plenty
gonna-
of evidence now.
Yeah, plenty.
So how far is that distance? Is it our distance or is it just like here or?
It all depends on what type of call. If you're on
Yeah.
a traffic stop, you're not going to stand right behind me. No, we actually direct them either
Stand aside, walk.
stand across the street or go 50 yards back.
Yeah.
Not directly behind us. And
Yeah.
we've had that. They'll just walk up to our traffic stops and we'll have to discontinue with our interaction with the traffic stop, which is an officer safety issue because now we don't know what's if this person has any weapons in the vehicle.
Well, and that's
Now-
hostile because they're blocking you in essence,
Yes,
right?
And
Yes,
you're already
so-
under stress.
yes,
Right.
and now they're dividing our attention to them.
Distraction. I was just gonna say too.
So
Let's talk about that real quick. If I could just ask you, it kind of goes on the mental health side of it. How do you deal with going from a regular call, like I'm gonna go check out this car is broken into, blah blah, take a report. Then now you're fucking going code, what is it, code blue, fucking lights and sirens, like to maybe someone fucking just got shot. Like, what is going through your head at that time of that transition period of like, I gotta go, right? Like I go from being cold to fucking going to be full speed adrenaline rush. Like, what's going in your mind?
No, there's a saying to that. Our careers is hours of boredom filled with minutes of sheer terror.
Yeah.
But we're trained, and if not, you should be seeking training, both through your agency or outside of it. It's incumbent upon the training officer when you first come to the department, but also when you have advanced officer training. You have your annual training cycle. It should be reminded and also impressed upon, that situation may go. You may work for a small city or work for a side or a district that's slow, and you might have to hightail to the other side of the county or other side of town, and it's rock and roll time. But you also got to keep your eyes on the picture, and that's where my idea of fighting mindset is all of that. To me, fighting mindset, it's a broad term for me because as I see it is, you got to think of what you're going to be rolling yourself into, how you got to get there. Honestly, the whole thing about later, about basic decompression, because remember, you're still got to get to the scene of whatever situation is. You don't know other than you may hear screaming on the radio or dispatch saying, we're getting numerous calls now. You got shots fired, or there's an officer down. Or one of the worst, probably scariest ones is when you hear someone who's not a cop on your co-worker's radio calling for help.
Yeah.
No shit.
I've heard that.
That's
It's
scary.
crazy.
That's
Yeah.
scary.
And you're like, what? And then you first think, is this a joke? But you just got to roll because you don't know. And we're constantly going to the unknown. But you also got to be,
Well, the assumption is that man down, right?
well, yeah. I mean,
That's the
we don't
circumstances.
joke about
'Cause
something.
you're the only person who should be operating your radio, right?
Yeah, that's a different story in itself.
Well,
But
yeah.
and that's comical. But what I'm trying to say is when you go from, like, say, sitting here to, oh shit, someone needs help and I gotta run to my car and hightail boogie, I gotta take consideration first to get there safely. I talked to him about that. We call it code 3 driving, being defensive about it. Like if I'm calling screaming for help, I expect you to get there, but I also expect you to get there safely, because you're no good to me if you're a mile out still and you get T-boned.
Yeah.
Now you've also allocated resources to not only to get to you, and people are still trying to get to me, And so as individuals, as professionals, we must instill that, and as trainers, we must emphasize to both seasoned officers as well as the new officers that, hey, there are going to be times we're going to get ourselves in a pickle or a predicament, and stress is going to be, but you have to first know your knowledge and allow your training to kick in, and know that with training, you have to be careful about that. See, there's a difference. Sometimes when it comes to the fighting arts, and I've been in martial arts for some time, a person who's just angry to fight versus a person who's trained and angry to fight,
Oh,
who
there's
do
a
you
big
think is more
difference.
methodic? There's a difference,
Well, one's
Person that's-
deadly.
The person that's trained.
right? But also, see, with that training also goes over the anger. You control your anger. One of the first things I tell the young, sorry, I always have to hesitate. I call them young. I still think I'm young, but how much are you willing to risk?
Yeah.
Going back real quick about the whole these agitators or police accountability people, right? They come in your face, this and that. You can say what you want. You can push them away, depending on what the situation. And of course, you have to articulate everything you do. But in the end, you got to keep yourself saying to yourself, is this worth risking my job? The headaches. It's a headache right now, presently. But is it worth me engaging? Because that's what they want you to do. They want you to engage. They want you to slip up somehow.
And they get rich off of it. Yeah.
Get a
'Cause
lot.
it's about money. It's not even about social justice.
No,
It's
well,
those
the
people want to
perception
just
of
make
most
money.
Ghetto lotteries. That's the. I call it, and I have a story to that. Is the not so much extreme, but the moderate side of that. Say, for example, you killed my cousin. You arrested him, and you either beat the beat the crap out of him allegedly, or you shot him way too many times allegedly. And even though my cousin, he's a good boy, he's quiet, that kind of thing, when you're just trying to do your job. Anyway, what I was trying to get back to is knowing that you have a job, a role to fulfill, and yes, you're susceptible to being the public. On a tangent, but that's why you don't see cops anymore. I sure don't eat in public. You don't see us hanging out at Denny's or wherever case may be, because I don't want the ridicule. Aren't I expected to eat?
There's a show. The guy's in LA. I don't know if you've seen that old cop show. There's a rookie, and then there's a guy.
The ice cream.
Yeah,
Southland.
the ice cream show. Yeah,
I know that very
Southland.
well.
Yeah,
So
that was a cool show.
I know that dialogue very well.
Yeah, I watched that whole entire thing.
Wanna
But
lick?
yeah, it's like
Wait.
where you guys.
Well, so what were you gonna? Because I have a question that actually goes perfectly in.
What's Southland?
No, but
So Southland's like the lady's complaining like, aren't you supposed to be at work? Or and he's like, ma'am, ain't I
Who's
entitled
patrolling
to?
the city?
Yeah, who's
Yeah, who's
patrolling
patrolling
the
the
city?
city?
Ain't I entitled to have a lunch break?
It's a
well, he
hot-
was
it's
he
a
was the
hot
best
day.
cop on that show too. The old dude from
Dude,
The
I love that
Outsiders.
show. That show was so good.
I think
Dude.
he was in The Outsiders. He was way
Yeah.
younger though.
That's how I picture you guys, like the older guy, like that's in there, like when you tell them you're taking your time to go up and stuff like that. That's how I picture it.
Well, that's a perfect pivot because I was going to ask you guys. This is definitely shifting gears. So, which cop movie or TV show gets it totally wrong, or which one secretly nails it, even if it's like
I would say
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
nails it. Would be End of Watch.
End of Watch?
Yes.
Yeah,
Right there, brother.
yeah.
That's a good movie.
That's Michael Pena's in that, right?
Yes.
Does
And,
that fire you up in the beginning when he's like,
That was a
this is
good
what
one.
we're
Yeah.
like the whole speech?
with
Is it Jake Gyllenhaal? Michael
Jake
Pena?
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen
so-
that. That's a good movie.
Good.
Yeah. So in terms of realistic, that movie is as realistic as you can get.
yeah.
It shows, the new trainee, and you also see the new female trainee going with her FTO,
Yeah.
and that's as close as reality you can get to police work.
I have a question real quick for you.
Well, I was going to say, which one's the shitty one, though? 'Cause I do want to hear which one do you guys
PO2
can't
Van
stand.
Hauser. So it's funny. In the End of Watch. So not to totally completely disagree with you, but End of Watch to me, the movie reminds me of the movie Colors.
Ah,
In
with
the
In
Sean
the movie
Penn.
Colors,
Yeah.
it wasn't so much about the gangs. That was
It was
that
how
was
the
a
police
plot.
were changing
It was-
because of the times, right?
no. In the movie Colors, at least how I interpreted watching it many a times, and then to end up watching it, is this: it's the relationship between the partners. In End of Watch, you had Mike Pena's character. I wanted to look it up.
And then the other guy,
Mike Zavala, and then Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Brian Taylor. What I found very useful and very entertaining, which is actually pretty spot on, is really their dialogue, their communication, everything from the station and everything. Now, certain tactics, certain storylines in the movie, like the whole cartel and how the cartels come. I mean, that to some extent, but these are just patrol officers. They're going out the way now to want to take on the cartel like that. I mean, I don't know who has time to do all that. I guess I've been on patrol for a long time, so but that's my take on that. But it's the attitude, the learning and teaching in Colors, because in Colors was the attitude of you have a senior officer and you have a junior officer working together, and you have the junior officers popping on. He wants to go chase people, and again, forgive or correct me if I don't get the story right. Where the senior officer tells right, hey, you ever heard a story about the two bulls? The big bull and the baby bull, and baby bull said to big bull, hey, look at them. I don't know if it was goats or something down the hill. Let's go. I'm gonna run down and go fuck them or something like that, right? And Big Bull said, no. Let's walk down together and fuck them all. Right? That was one of the things. I remember when I came in the 90s. I came in 96 in law enforcement. That's things you would hear from the old timers. Not to reflect too much, but when I came in.
I was in high school.
Thanks. But I was a junior kid. Everyone had at least. I was always the kid. Everyone was 10 years ahead of me. They were like Vietnam vets. Everything's done so old school, like the old school way of when you write reports. Don't make a full, complete storytelling. Right? Today it's different. It's about articulation. I'm big at that because I teach it. Like, son, you need to CYA. Make sure you write stuff to CYA. Well, CYA, what does it stand for?
Cover your ass.
Right? Well, what does that infer?
You document everything.
No. But what can that infer? When
Oh,
you use
that
the
means
word
someone's-
CYA,
That means someone's trying to get you in trouble, like,
maybe not so much someone,
or something.
but even you is be perceived as you're covering up something because you're covering your ass, right?
Right.
So I use the word, can you articulate? It's all about articulating yourself, whether through reports, whether you're talking, verbal commands.
That's cool.
And so for me, before having a narrative like this, a short 1 or 2 paragraph line, an introduction and closing, well, that raised a lot of questions. Like, well, what happened here? Or what happened? Or what did so-and-so do? What did Eric do? What did Ryan do? What did Bobby do, right? Whereas me, in my storytelling ways, from how I got there, how I was notified, or how I saw it happen, how I was alerted, or what drew my attention to what I did, who I interviewed, what had happened, their reaction, all that stuff has to play, what evidence I gathered, what notifications I made, what so-and-so I did to do this, if any restraining order had to be placed, all that good stuff. You have to put that in paper now because they want to know. Because remember, your report, I could be retired 40 years from now. That case might go somewhere. What better art of report writing than to be able to tell your story or a story 40 years later down the road? I could be dead, or I could be in Bora Bora sipping on Mai Tais. But my report is going to has potentially the capability of convicting and or not someone later.
Yeah, that's a responsible, smart way to handle it. That's cool.
That's what I teach my guys.
Because you're thinking about the future.
That is true, though, dude. I've never thought about that.
And see, when you think of it, I look at it as art. And again, we joke because we're still in the same times. But again, I use keywords. I sound like a fucking political politician. But times have become sophisticated. You gotta know how to roll with it.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna fight it. You'll probably get in trouble with it. Or you might as well just walk and quit. Because either way, they're coming at you. The woke are coming at you. The cancel culture are coming at you. Your own administrators will come at you. And then there's the politicians. And then there's the media. Paint you this bad guy. So if you still want to be in the game, now you can avoid as much as you can, but you can't avoid everything. I know guys who they call kiss-off calls or they'll bait situations because they don't want to handle it. But when you find yourself in the shit, now you need to know what you're going to do. And when you asked that question earlier about, have you been in some situation? How'd you get yourself out of it? Well, it's like FTO Rule 101, right? Before you even go to a call and you get the call dispatch or whatever, you should know what you're going to do when you get there. How are you going to handle it? Is it something? Hell, if a crime hasn't even been committed, the big joke of avoiding report writing is what? No victim, no crime. Therefore, there's no report. Well, there's other things now that are coming in play because of all this whole accountability. The body-worn camera. Yeah, it's great, it's accountability, but half the time I've ever had to use it in the beginning of all that, when I go to court, it's always suppressed.
Yeah.
The defense don't want. They know what you have on your.
But
camera.
a boring report could be an alibi for a police officer that could be getting blamed for something, or you know what I mean? It could be like, well, your report doesn't reflect you were doing anything for an hour and a half. Whereas if you articulated better and you actually put down that you were watching paint dry,
and if you didn't want to do
might not be
anything else
good.
anymore, you think you just want to hang out at the station? Fuck yeah, I'm gonna milk this report.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Bobby. Or even you two, Ray. So when you guys are going to these calls, and this goes back to the mental health side of it. So when you guys are going to these calls, like I have videos of me bounty hunting. I had a body cam, and I remember one of the shirts.
Videos of me. I hope they weren't dirty.
He sent me some of you. No.
Smell my finger.
So when I was doing searches, like I could see myself in the videos, and even the trainings we had, like my hands would start shaking, and I could hear my breathing. Like it goes from low to like just hyper, almost like hyper. You can just hear it, like deep breathing in my hands as I'm searching or turning a corner. Dude, my hands are like this, right? And then I'd be like catching myself, like how can I control that, right? Like so I would practice a lot, like, but nothing. The adrenaline would take over. So as soon as I'm going. And I got better at trying to control my hands, but in the beginning, it was constantly like not knowing what the unknown is behind the door.
A lot of it's self-conditioning. For me, during my tenure, I run a lot, so to control my breathing, combat breathing, especially when it comes to hot situations. When I was new, I noticed that my hands were shaking, but then I started doing a lot of cardio. So once you do a lot of cardio, you condition your body and you condition your mind to basically fatigue to a point where like you are like at a pass out, but then you bring it back, and once you start getting into these hot situations, somebody yelling at you, somebody's passed out and about to die and needs CPR. Once you get that combat breathing down, that you're physiologically your body is conditioned to handle that stress. That is stress right there. When your hands are shaking,
Yeah.
and you're hyperventilating, that is stress inoculation.
Yeah, and it's like you have to go because there's nobody
Mhm.
really coming for us. We don't have a whole department. We have just whoever's with us, and that's it. And it's like we're on a chase, and this guy has a gun, and like we're not going to give up. And then my hands like, as we're going, especially if we're like I have a video where I'm just by myself in this backyard,
Mhm.
and that's just part of our job. It was just going in my hands like. And you hear people over the radio like, "Hey, where you at? Where you at?" I'm like, "Fucking, I'm busy right now."
Right.
Like,
I mean,
don't bother me.
it starts off with conditioning, mental conditioning. Again, what I teach when I do firearms and tactics is, it sounds cliche, but yeah, fighting mindsets. How you get yourself in a situation, even if it's there and it drops on your lap, or you're getting into a situation, and practice. But also, like everything else, perishable skills, but if you can already identify what you have, your strengths, your weaknesses, and you work on that. You may have to role play with that. Maybe get another buddy. It's no different like in the academy. In the academy, we teach you how to do a systematic search, right? And if you don't practice it, when it comes time to testing, if you don't do it right, you're going to fail. You kick out the academy, right? So what do? You get to get with your wife, you get to get with your friends, your classmates, and you work on the systematic search. It's no different than when you become methodic, systematic, in how you do things overall. Short of OCD, right? But you prepare yourself. You think of the hypotheticals, and then you actually put yourself in. Because I guarantee, again, the same officer who works the west end of town where it's slow as hell versus the east side of town where it's busy as hell. I had where we had an officer involved shooting, they called for help. And I remember I was coming from the downtown area, and these cats from the west came, and they saw me at the intersection, and they knew we're all going to the same call because it was an officer needs help kind of thing. And I looked at them, and they like rolled down the window. It was like, "Hey, we're from like the west side of town, the slow end of town. We're gonna follow you. We don't know where we're going, what we're doing, because they've never been in the hood, and so they followed me. And but obviously you can see they had more of the step back approach, right? Now, I can't really tell you, in terms of gauging like how soon things might happen. I can't predict that right now, or else I'd be a billionaire every Saturday playing the Powerball. All you can do is prepare for it, mentally prepare yourself for it, condition yourself. And again, if you know you've identified some weaknesses that you have, or someone else has done that for you, work on it. And maybe some of it is not so much working up to it, but then perhaps maybe working something from out of it. Your faith in God. I'm very strong with that. Knowing that what you're doing, you're trying to do the Lord's work, and things may happen, but it's based on experience, and hopefully. And here's the thing, because I know a lot of the young people sometimes don't want to listen to us senior OG guys, where they think, I'll never get myself in this step, or whatever. They're too busy in their TikTok videos, or they're not the new poster boy for recruitment when I could use them on the streets, but that's a different story. But what I'm getting at is just that, whether you train, you identify for something to get into something, or you find your outs that get you out of something. Working out, going to church, finding other activities. You ask me, I can tell you all kinds of stuff I do outside this. I've now slowly and surely detaching myself. Even I cringe on some of these guys who like, they always gotta sit their back behind the wall because they need to see everyone that comes in. Well, you know who else knows that too? The bad guy.
Yeah.
Now, if you've been in the position where I've been, where I work plain clothes and I work a lot of that investigative stuff where I have to be the gray man, I may have to be in awkward positions. But I also train for that because I know that if I put myself in a situation, then I need to know how to get myself out of it. And even if I don't think I have a fighting chance, well, guess what? I'm fighting because I don't run, I reload.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm getting at? Because there's never a perfect situation, and nothing's perfect. And now if we're talking about firearms and tactics, imagine you're in a restaurant or you're at a bank and all hell breaks loose, or a church, and then you got to draw your gun out, and they half the people don't know. Oh shit, he was a cop. They didn't know you're a cop. Help! Half the time people don't even know you have a gun out. The only people that we focus on are the person who actually uses a gun if it's a bad guy. I've been in establishments where, say, I had come out of the office. I don't wear a uniform, but I got my gun on my side, my badge on me or on my neck, whatever, and I come in. And sometimes guys are like, hey, let's see if we can go into I don't do Starbucks, personal preference, but let's go to a coffee shop or somewhere, and let's see who actually pays attention. You know that, and this is my own makeup number based on my experience and my interaction with the public. I say about 85% of the people I make contact with have no situational awareness of what else is going on around me.
Yeah.
So I can walk around with a gun on my hip, but thank God I'm the good guy, because that gun is not me, but it's an advantage to stop the threat of evil. But most people don't even know that unless someone else says, "Oh my God, you see he had a gun on his side?"
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Oh, thank God he didn't rob me. Oh no, that's Ray. He's a cop. Oh, I didn't even know he's a cop. He don't look like a cop.
Or how many times you've been sitting
Well, that's
surveillance?
good.
Or how many times
That's
have
the
you?
art I do.
Yeah.
But
How many times have you set surveillance and nobody's like just passing by? They don't even realize you're there because they don't like they're not looking around or just like
that's the lay people. Now you got to talk about again the sophistication of other people. I've been in a situation where I was in the hood and I'm doing surveillance and I'm taking pictures and I'm in what we call cool cars, right? I'm in a car that no one knows that I'm in a Honda Civic or something, right?
you get spotted.
And I'm
Tinted
taking
windows.
pictures. And then you remember in training day you got to do the bike,
Yeah.
right? I had a situation like that where I had my camera, I had my Canon DSLR, I'm take it away, stop. I see dude come through, roll through, look in my rearview mirror, my situational awareness, right? Sure enough, he rolls back around, and he comes, and they'll test you because they too want to find a way to engage you. So this dude come up on his bike, looking. Now, we didn't use the term dipping then, but yeah, it was a little bit before that. But he came, look, and he saw a big ass camera. What do you think he did? He walked past. Other homies came out. He needed to confirm that, so he told the other homies. The other homies came walking by. Now, I didn't want to say I'm a cop, none of that, and I stick out, but I don't look like a cop.
Yeah.
At least that day, I don't think I looked like one. Hey, what's up, man? What you doing here? Hey, what's up, guys? So I had to put my other thinking cap on. What am I say now, right? Do I tell him I'm a cop, put my badge on the set? No, fuck, no, I'm not doing that. Especially because I'm by myself. I may have a radio with me, but fuck, shit can happen. And we now call lunchbox. You don't ever want to get caught in a car and you're stuck in a car because they shoot you. You can't get your gun or whatever. I go, yeah, I'm a private investigator. Motherfucker over there is a cheater. I'm doing a cheating on, one of those cheater things. Oh no, I knew, and they're like, I knew she was fucking that fucking. Right? But I had to think of something because I can't blow my.
Watch once you left, someone got their
I
ass
couldn't
whooped.
blow my cover, so here I am telling them like, yeah, I'm getting paid to like wash his house, and like, supposedly dude paid us like $500, and I'm all like, hey, you want in on this? Again, talking to your community, using the tools. Again, being a chameleon, I'm to work it. I'd be like, hey, she's cheating, so her I guess boyfriend, manfriend, whatever, paid us to just take photos
That's
of it,
smart.
Yeah.
right?
That's
Or you
smart.
could be, bring it down here, put your badge up, or peel off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably could have done all of that, but lucky for me, I'm kind of very imaginative, but I also know what I got. And again, the gift of gab allowed me that effort, because crooks, they'll see right through you. You try to tell them something, and you ain't, oh man, you ain't all that. Yeah, you square, bro. Now, I know you probably catch on this, the dialect a little bit to go show that the environment I'm used to being in.
Yeah.
But that's how I play. You got to talk the talk and walk the walk. And if you're someone that, hardest thing is breaking them off. But oh man, all the time you were a cop. Damn, you played it off good. I didn't know you were a cop. You'll get that, or they feel betrayed. And I've been in a situation that, oh, I know you're a cop. And then it's kind of awkward, right? Whatever. They introduce your families. You meet their sisters or cousins. Cousin wants to get at you. Well, I'm fucking married. I live another life, but that's a different story. But going back to stress and how you deal with a situation, you kind of got to condition yourself. Because the way I say it is this, and now this is me, like if I was back on patrol wearing a uniform as FTO, I'd be like, suck it up, buttercup. You sign up for this. Would you expect this was going to happen or not to happen? All right? If I tell you we're going to do a by-bus detail, and I'm telling you, bro, take your vest off. Now, I know that's also questionable, but when you're doing something really, really intricate, where we're not the arrest team, we're actually baiting, or we're doing the stuff that the uniform guys, or they're going to come in, they're going to do it, but we need to do this. But if you're walking on with a vest already on you, bro, you're making everything else difficult.
Because you're escalating energy, right?
Not that much energy, but if the crooks see like, why is this motherfucker wearing a vest? You a cop?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, now you fucked everybody up.
Yeah.
We can't have that. And we had a situation where we had a guy like that, and he got booted. It's cool what we do, to some extent. There's a lot of headaches go with it. And the headache I can get into is the whole, you touched on it earlier, is the whole, the 290, the child predator, the sex, the crimes, all that stuff. I hate that.
Yeah.
I had a boss who, because of our unit's arrest records, they wanted us to do that. If there's anything personally I felt, I want to go kill these motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
Bad, it's what you learn, do on yourself, you do to others, right? But you protect the innocent, especially the children. And when I got caught up in stuff like that, it hurt me inside. It hurt me in a way that it got angry.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to do something, and you're limited. You're limited by the laws. Mm-hmm. You're limited by the country. You're limited by the internet. There are things out there, like the dark web, crazy stuff. But then I'm limited because it stops here. But then again, depending on who you work for, administration, what DA you have, that's okay. You can stop there, knowing that. But it involves someone innocent, whether it be an adult or a child. Well, faith comes back because, and I just learned this not too long ago in confession about my patron saint is Saint Michael. And if you're Catholic, you know Saint Michael is our archangel. He's one of my patron saints. He's also the saint for law enforcement, firefighters, military. And I had misused his role when it came to justice versus vengeance. I didn't learn that until I got into confession. My priest said, "Do you understand that role?" I go, "Yeah, justice, and vengeance could be synonymous with it, right? Like, yeah, but it's how far you take vengeance. So you can be convicted in the court of law and be taken away and we'll never see you for 26, 30 years, right? Or you can be sitting in the back of that courtroom, and these are true court stories. Person gets convicted of a crime, or maybe not, and somehow, some way, and usually this is like stories of the 80s and 90s, the mom, the father, or somebody pulls out a gun and kills the subject there. Is that justice or is that vengeance? Justice has been served through the courts, and justice will be served when you go to the Heavenly Father, regardless of what your religion is based on. There's one, at least for me, I believe in one God, and you have to make amends to Him.
Could you separate them easily by this instance too, where the only difference is legality? Because you could say vengeance is morally based and justice is legally based, right? And both, I guess, could be overused and underused, right? But I feel like, as far as faith is concerned, like, what amount of vengeance is acceptable, or is it not acceptable at all because it's all an act of like hate, or is that, how do they look at it? Yeah.
When you use the word like intention.
Mm-hmm.
So you come home late night, 2 a.m, late, long day at the pool. Then you have to clean pools at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
You come home, you find your wife in bed with some dude. Now you have a CCW, you got a permit to carry all this that. You decide you want to pull your gun out and blast the fool because you're enraged.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it just happened just spontaneously. Now these are all, like I said, I'm just talking off like cases. There have been cases where, yeah, it was spontaneous. And the jury of your peer,
right,
felt that you weren't guilty of such crime.
Yeah, I mean, heat of passion's not a justification for murder or physical violence. So I mean, I get it.
Murders.
And they weren't a threat to you. You were violated on your morals.
True.
Not that person, in my opinion, acted wrong, but we've all seen Shawshank Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to prison.
Real quick, you touch on some. 'Cause I do like to clarify this. When it comes to the use of the word murder, so in murder, the definition of it by me is really malice and forethought. Right now, you can justifiably hurt and kill and result in someone dying, and usually we call that justifiable homicide. Same place for us as cops. We don't go out looking for people and then go like they commit a crime, we shoot them, and then we murder them. No, we actually don't like to use that word murder because we're not. We're stopping the threat. But in the pursuit of whatever it is, in our actions and the actions of the subject, may result in the use of deadly force. And of course, that's why the DA investigators, our administration or whoever administration investigating body will then determine, shooting like a person 2 times
Right.
versus shooting him 20 times, and
Right.
why did you shoot him that many times and that. But what it comes down to is really what were you thinking, what were you doing, right? Like for us, cops, we don't go around looking to murder people. Now, oftentimes we pull our firearms out, and that's to stop a threat. And if they die as a result of that threat, it's not murder.
Yeah. And I
if it's
think I
just
used the
like-
wrong word. That was me.
No, it's okay.
Oh.
But
And I'm glad you clarified
but
though,
it's just for your
because
listeners too.
yeah,
because
definitely.
Then you just,
There's a big difference.
because then you're just promoting the thing.
Well,
because
murder
it's
too
the
is
word.
intent and premeditated usually. So
yes,
if you're defending yourself or you're protecting yourself or you're following your protocol, like that's not murder, like you just said.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
Kyle
to me.
Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
That's a good example. You know Kyle Rittenhouse, 17-year-old with a rifle. That's one. There are many more. But what I'm just saying is that when you find yourself in that crossroads of vengeance versus justice, right? And sometimes you gotta let justice run its course, and that's what you say. They never say let vengeance run its course. It's always justice runs its course.
Well, because vengeance could also be a conditional thing that's never fulfilled.
Yeah,
And
I
it snowballs into other people wanting vengeance for your vengeance, and
yeah.
I had a bail case that this guy was his mom was trying to hide him, and we set him up at a coffee shop, and I was the one doing all the talking. Anyways, he shows up and thinking that he's gonna get an extension, but he's going to jail. So at the end of the day, we end up arresting him, and he was wanted for I believe it was a pedophile for 2 girls, molesting 2 girls, and it took us a long time to find him. We finally got him through the mom, and as soon as we hooked him, took him to jail, booked him, and he's laughing. He's thinking it's a joke. I'm gonna be out, and it makes my stomach churn even talking about it. So, anyways, it's like whatever. You're going to jail. Fucking, we booked him into jail. We take off, and that weekend, there was a parade going down, and I'll say the city because they need to know. So it was the city of Los Gatos. So I go down. My wife's working at the time, so I go down to go meet her, and we're gonna go downtown and watch the parade. And as soon as I'm crossing the street, who do I fucking see? See this motherfucker, and he turns around, and I remember interviewing the mom's girl, the girl, just trying to get the whole case. Like, our job is just for the bill. We don't give a fuck about the case, but we're trying to figure out the rest of it. So anyways, I just thought about the mom and all that shit. And I see this guy cross the street, and he turns around and fucking smirks at me. Like, I fucking told you. I told my wife, and I was like, we got to go. Because the boiling fire in me, just thinking this dude's walking around again, and there's like no accountability. Like, it got to me, man. And so I can understand the vengeance. You're like, we're talking about justice and vengeance, and I always hope that justice got them at the end of the day. But just those things, it never leaves you. Just seeing those faces, it's like one time I told Ryan this case, another thing where we went to go arrest somebody in a bail skip, and we went to the garage, and the guy, and we hooked the guy up, and then as we're leaving, he's like, no, my 2 sisters, and it's a garage, and it's bad, full of oil, and I have pictures of it, and I undo the covers, and there's 2 little babies under there in dirty diapers. and this guy is a gang member. He's wanted on a bunch of fucking charges, felony charges, and we had to call the local PD. PD came out, and just the look on everyone's face, man, it's just like, even the cops that came, like in CPS, like the way these kids were living and the baby and how hot it was. Think about this, how hot it is in here. It was twice as hot. It was fucking hot that day. And like just seeing the faces and like our, you know, like just the look of the babies' faces. And when they actually took the babies to CPS, it was like, man, everyone's like, you go home that day, like, and I talked to the officers too there. It was like, it was bad, man. Like you go home, like it makes you cry.
Yeah.
You know, just thinking about these two little kids. I mean, I think that like gets you, like, I feel like for me, like it held some anger inside. Like, fuck, how could people live like this or do like this? You know, like there's two innocent babies, and it gets to you. And I think a lot of people forget that I was a bounty hunter. I was never a cop, but even for the cops side, like, seeing those officers' faces, at the end of the day, they have to, like, they're human, and they're gonna feel some sort of way. They're not robots, and a lot of people feel like you guys are robots, right? They feel like you guys should be able to shut everything down, right? And just like I wanted to ask you too, and like we talked about your partner and a close friend of yours passed. If you don't mind talking about that, and that you guys lost him, and I lost one of my partners, one of my bounty hunter partners. It was a brother, super close to me. There's more to the story. But it left me angry, dude, for a long time. And I wake up angry sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
So, you know, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness.
Oh yeah, thanks for
For
bringing that up
everybody
too. Yep.
that don't know. So we did have an officer, particularly one officer. I think he was my second or third trainee that I trained as an FTO, and you know, veteran, well decorated. And, you know, family man, you know, always with his family, his kids. And I want to say is about year and a half, 2 years ago now, he ended up taking his life on his own. So our patrol officers ended up responding and secure the scene. But we ended up finding out the next day that it was that particular officer. And, you know, a lot of us were close to him. And that's the one thing that, you know, a lot of law enforcement officers these days, you know, one, they're type A personalities. A lot of them don't like talking to people. They're introverts. A lot of them, you know, again, like Brother Ray was saying, you know, we stick to our circle. But, you know, our friend, you know, didn't have that outlet. And you know, instead of reaching out to, you know, one of his partners or military partners or even just a friend, you know, he's an avid fisherman and camped a lot. And, you know, it's just sad that they didn't have that outlet just to reach out to somebody. Because if you talk to somebody, that in itself right there is venting. That in itself right there is therapy, you know, to get the stress off your shoulders. And, you know, it's just unfortunate that, you know, we had to go to his, you know, his funeral for that. And, you know, he ended up retiring, but he ended up taking his life after service. So
I'm sorry about that.
yeah.
Let me ask you for answer. How did you deal with it
Oh, man.
to this day?
I don't know, man. I get angry. That was my brother. Like me and him, we're super tight. And he's from Salinas. And he was actually trying to become a sheriff, but he was in the bounty side. And he was just, I worked with him for a long time and everything changed. Like his attitude just became angry. And he put me in a situation where I tried to get him the help, but the right way. And there's a lot that goes behind that story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just angry, man. It's like, why, you know?
Let me backtrack to the next, the other situation where you're angry over that person you had booked the county jail 24 hours in parade, and you and your wife were at Los Gatos at a parade. You said you laughed. I'm sure you're still a little upset, but what? I don't know why it happened. It keeps like turning. I'm not even touching. How did you handle that situation? Like, did you explain to your wife why we must leave? Like, what did you do? And then how did you handle it yourself to get over your anger
Yeah, I think
or fear?
I think at that time I was like, I was in a better headspace. Like I wasn't as like dealing with so much shit on my plate at the end. So at that time I was like, okay, I can't do anything because I'm gonna get in trouble. One, and I have my wife here. So my thing is to like, let's just get the fuck out of here. Because there's at that point there was like, there was nothing I can do. There was nothing I could really do. My hands were tied. And maybe that's the answer for me. There's nothing I could do to help my partner because he already had made a decision. But I think the part that gets me is that is the missed phone calls, the constant phone calls. That's what gets me.
His missed calls to you, or
His missed calls to me. Him calling me.
oh, and you missed.
Missed calls.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I think in our line of work and just really as the person you are, it's a makeup of who you are.
Yeah.
Right? We're all helping people, whether you're introvert or extrovert. But sometimes even myself, even comedians, probably the best, like Robin Williams, great comedian. I follow him, and it's tragic what happened to him, but it's always, they say it's usually the clowns
Yeah.
that later you wonder, because they're, what thrives on them is what makes, by you being happy, it makes me happy, because they don't want you to suffer the way they suffer from within.
Yeah.
But their out is to making you feel better, because then they somewhat feel a little healing. Because I was there.
Yeah.
I've been there. Again, I profess the faith of God that helps me, my wife, very understanding, my family. I have not even a few, not even a handful, but maybe 2 people who aren't related to law enforcement at all, right? But they're just genuine, good, square people. And it's funny how I could talk to them, because I would never think I could relate. Like it's like things that would happen at work or something, really work stuff, career-wise. I'd probably have to talk to guys like Bobby or someone who's been in our line of work, because you always say, "Oh man, no one else other than us can understand our line of work, what we do, what we see, the shit we see and deal with." I mean, go on. But I've also learned that for me to move forward, if one thing's not working, I gotta try something else. And I need to find ways, methods, ideologies. Even if I gotta sit in my chair and just think, okay, what to make me feel better, then I have to seek it. Because if I'm that kind of person, if I profess that being that person, seek the help, seek whatever it is, then I need to do it. So whether it be through friends, adventures, other hobbies, things keep me busy. Mm-hmm. Because more times than not, especially now as I'm getting to that age and career, where I talk to a lot of guys and they don't have an exit strategy. They have the plan coming in, being a cop, do this, and that. And yeah, some get caught in they feel like the cop is their identity, right? For whatever reason, because of discounts, or because, at one time they could wear a uniform and all the ladies would chase them, and, driving code 3, going fast. That's probably the only thing I do like, because I'm a big time driver and I love not always going fast, but just be able to just go places and turn my lights on and go through red lights carefully, though, clearing each and every intersection.
Well, I just want to know, what police car did you drive?
Police car?
Yeah, what kind of vehicle when you first started?
Was it a
Aging
Caprice?
me now?
Well, I'm going to tell you my first patrol car.
Mine was a 95 Chevy Caprice. Oh no, before that we still had beaters. We had a 90. We didn't have the Shell white whale 91 through 93, I think, Caprice. We had a 1990 Chevy Caprice, which I just like the Chevy, but then we got the Fords. And then the 95, I remember driving the Chevy Caprice because we had a Corvette motor, bro. We were fucking
Taking off?
yeah, that shit would go like a missile, but man, try turning, man, you might roll over. Horrible.
You remember
But it
those
was,
cars when you were a kid?
Yeah, no.
1995
They look
Chevy
cool.
I had a
Caprice.
Chevy Caprice.
Have you ever
LT1
been in a cop
engine.
car?
Yeah,
You ever been in a
LT1
cop
motor.
car?
I've been
Like when you were
detained. No, actually, I was detained and it was outside. I wasn't even in the car.
And the funny, when you talk about patrol cars,
I've been lucky.
back then,
Good job.
Yeah.
back before today's sophistication level of people, I'd pull up somewhere, parking lot, coffee shop, bakery. People would come up to me, car enthusiasts come to me and go, "Oh, dude, I bet you catch a lot of people in that car." Because, in any human, we find some sort of connection, a bond, and we interact with it, right? I had a 95 Chevy Caprice 9C1 with an LT1 motor. You don't think all these old timers, all these hot rodders, all these guys, import car racers coming to me, Man, I bet you're taking it, drag racing it, because our car's pretty fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that too was a tool to use to go through people. But going back to like how we deal with stuff, stress and mental health, because I'm big onto that now. I'm a big proponent of that. We have services. There's services out there. There's a lot of people who don't want it. I get it. Everyone has free will, like God says. We all have free will, and whether you have a sense of guilt, or we all have a sense of guilt because you want to be the guy to help people, right? And now whether you feel bad because you weren't able to bring that next person on the line with you, like as I get ready to retire, there are people who didn't make it, either both health wise, they passed on to the next world without the suffering, and then those who were truly suffering that decided that suicide was the only way out. It hurts me because I reflect, because I came from, I worked for, I had worked for 3 different agencies, but actually in all 3 agencies, when you apply in the 90s, I mean, I don't know about you, but the first 2 agencies, it was like over 2,000 people. Take a written test, 2,000 people, right? And when you lateral, it gets small. But anyway, I remember applying when first time being a cop. I applied, man, 3,000 people. I remember I was number 263, and I'm like, oh, they'll never get to me, right? And then you slowly work through it, and all of a sudden, bam, you're in the academy. But what I tell a lot of my guys and ladies now, how ironic is this? When you go into law enforcement, you go in a group of people. You actually are strangers. But at some point, whether at the academy or even during your physical tests, because I've been there as a proctor, you get the strangers to actually root for one another, because we all want to toe the line. Like, so if you got to hurdle that 6-foot fence, right? You can do it. I can do it. You can do it, but he can't. He's struggling, but we cheer him on anyway. I don't know him from Adam. We just all came here one Saturday to take a test. But we do that, and to us as proctors, we gauge that because, of course, we're looking for that for what? Teamwork, camaraderie, right? You're not being this Yahoo cowboy that, I did it, I don't have to worry about no one else. No. You can be greater than that by bringing the people you have. Anyway, as I continue on with this, you go to the academy as a group. You graduate, for the most part, you graduate as a group. You go through your career as your profession, as a team, as a group, whatnot. Maybe to some extent, depending how big of an agency. I came from a big agency, so you promote, and there's a group you promote. But it's rare that you see the group or the class retire at the same time. Everyone retires at their period. I know guys who were cops only 3 years. It wasn't for them. They quit. Other guys, they got hurt medically. They had to go. Then there's people in between. There's people who left. There's people who promoted. When the .com business was booming at the time, or real estate, I guess, my one friend, I thought he was going to stay. He left because he was making 6 figures. I mean, there was a time when I wasn't making 6 figures at the time. I am now, but then you weren't. And he left, and I'm like, wow,
Should go to Google, huh?
Yeah, right?
Yahoo.com.
Yahoo.com, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But, and as I see it now, as I'm entering that phase where I'm preparing to be going, it's not going to be a lot of us. I'll probably be me. And I'm okay with that. And see, that's another thing. When you learn in life, in any struggles or anything, and you learn to do the best you can, you did the best that you can, and at some point you gotta be, I'm okay with that. And if it's someone else, you just, again, I'm not here to profess anyone's faith. I only profess for mine. I can only pray for strength for not only me, but for the family of the affected, and even for that person, as they go up to purgatory or whatever the case may be, because it's not me for me to judge, right? I want to be judged too someday, but. I guess if the invisible question was, how can I do it? How do I deal with it? The trivial times, wanting to help others and I can't, or I feel like I failed, or I'm going through my own times, or everyone sees me as this happy-go-lucky person. I got everything going on. I got dog training. I got this. I got car clubs. I got my motorcycles. I got all kinds of hobbies in between. I shoot. I'm surrounded by a whole kind of cool people. Everyone wants to be around me. Yet, you still feel lonely. There's a difference between alone and lonely, right? You understand that? Because when you're lonely, that's totally different. And depending what depths of loneliness you fall into, things can happen. I haven't even talked about spiritual awareness. It's another thing I'm very into right now. Spiritual awareness, spiritual warfare. I think our country is evolving around that.
When you retire, have you ever thought about doing like they have these people that come and then or the ex-officers that come, or ex-law enforcement, ex-military, and they do these speeches to current or retiring guys, or guys
I do
who
that
like
now.
yeah, like there's like a survival type of speeches.
We have to do it for us because there was a time when I'm sure, like your department, Bobby, we have to do everything for the citizens and for everyone else, which is fine because if that makes our job easier and it avoids the casualties, that's fine. But it seemed like a majority of my career, if you showed weakness, you start fucking up, you start doing things. Either one, they look at you like, he used to be the stand-up guy, now he's like, oh, fuck up. Do some take the time to like,
Yeah.
I think there's something wrong with it. Or they like, is he broke? What the fuck? Is he on drugs? What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know? Or if you're very distant, you used to be talking to everyone, now you don't talk to anybody. You don't hang out with anybody. You don't like to pair up, we can pair up with guys, our partners. Or but I too, and I'll share that real quick, and maybe for another interview, but I can share this real quick. There was a time when I was jaded in my mid-career. When I was still working patrol, when I wore a uniform. I don't want to be around. I don't want to train anybody. Give me my car, or not give me. I'll take my car and I'll just go somewhere. And I'll lead you, if I may. I don't know if time permits, but I'll lead this one example. So, maybe 12 years ago, 14 years ago, I was jaded for many different reasons. Just jaded. I wasn't even married at the time. But anyway, long story short, I come into work. I work swings, but I came in early just to dress up and go up because a lot of the bosses above me, I just kind of hang out bullshit with them, right? But one of my guys, he knows how I am. He goes, hey, can you go to the west end of town? It's slow, but it's a cold report, but I think you'd like this. You just wanted, because he knew that, I think he knew I needed a break of some sort, right? So, okay, fine, I took it. No sweat to me, because he even told me, take your time. If you want to go short of fucking around, if you want to get your coffee, you want to be lollygag or lazy gag or whatever, and just, but get the task done and come back, right? All right, cool. Maybe an hour and a half later, swing watch, all the guys are coming in, they're going in. So I'm taking this interview from this lady about something, and then I hear over the radio, so I listen carefully once again. It's like, go through cover, shots fired. Like, oh shit. Now where I was, I was kind of mid-border, west end and this east end, west end and north end of town, where it's kind of like a downtown area, but there was no way in hell, even if I wanted to come back, and this was like now 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so like crap. For me to even go lights of siren, to go balls to the wall, even though it could be like just 10 miles away, I might get to an accident, but I'm not going to be there first, right? So, and I'm stuck on this thing that I'm doing, so I'm taking this paper, and I could hear all this stuff going on, and then I hear that, and this is based on what I'm hearing first. I guess apparently one of the units, one of the guys who trained another unit, they do the shooting between a vehicle and another vehicle. Actually, what it was a carjacking. Later that we found out. But anyway, turned into pursuit. They got on the 101, went southbound. Went through 2 different counties. And at some point, oh shit, I already knew when they said, we're passing the airport. And they're like, notify CHP. But it was like, everything's so fast. And, Bobby, when we get in pursuits, if I tell you I'm passing Grant, not passing Grant Line Road, if you're not even a mile away from me, I'm not even at Grant Line Road anymore. I'm probably by I-5. I'm now approaching I-5. You know what I'm saying? That's how fast things can happen. And I remember, and that's why I knew there's no way the hell I can catch out there. And plus, at that point, I also knew that I couldn't justify going lights and siren or something, even though it was thing. But man, if I got into an accident, that's gonna be hell to pay because it isn't a policy. Especially they already had units there.
Yeah.
I just have to be way out there, and of course, I'd be the oddball trying to come back. But anyway, long story short, balls to the wall. Pursuit's they're going to another town. Next, you hear they're taking this exit, popular exit, and then at some point in our radio communication, because now we're going to several cities and we're in a different county, or they're in a different county. So and I can only hear so much unless I go to my car, but I'm out and about, so I can only go off my portable radio, and it's getting scratchier now. So I'm like, fuck, they're far out there. TC, or no, foot bail. Sorry, foot bail. Now I said, TC means traffic collision. Long story short, so I go back to the station because I got to do my report, and I told the boss, okay, I'm back, whatever. But and also because now I got to shag their calls because they're all out there. So I'm shagging calls, and I'm me, I ain't doing shag shit. So I'm just gonna be all right, yeah, okay. I'm just driving around. So they come back, I don't know, God. So that was 4 o'clock. I don't know, maybe around 8:30. They come back and they're like sweating, they're like this, they're like, we got a shit show and this and that. So it turned out to be it was an on-view shots fired that turned was a carjacking, but the other guy had a CCW, the other guy that they were trying to take him for his car. They saw the cops, they bailed, take off. They go chase. They toss the gun somewhere. They go going. They exit somewhere. Crash. Suspect crash. They foot bail. The primary officer, because CHP, I don't know where the hell God knows where CHP was, but they weren't there. Local PD of that jurisdiction, I guess, already you don't be able to communicate, but somewhere they're there. But then the pursuing officer, he got there, but then he crashed too, because he failed to put the car. He had a boot. That's what it was. So my partner, he had a boot. Boot was driving. He didn't put it in park. The car moved. Everyone's moving. The car crashed into another parked cars. They get the guy in custody. Then there's a use of force. The guy didn't want to give up easily, so there's a use of force. So you got use of force report. You got a pursuit report. You got the original incident report. Then you got your supplemental reports. Then you got eyewitness statements. All this stuff. Then you have outside agency stuff. Then you have CHP
like
assistant.
3 days of paperwork.
It's gonna be about 3 weeks of paperwork. Now, mind you, I was jaded. I'm like, I didn't give a hoot of the world. I was pissed at the world for some. I can't remember now, and that's a good thing. You just can't remember now. And I just remember I'm typing my little petty whatever report. I don't even know what the report was that, but I'm typing away, and they're coming in like, Ray, oh bro, and I'm damn. I hate to say it, but I was the senior man on the watch too, so I was like, fuck. So they're asking me questions like, hey, like even his name is Bobby, my partner, Bobby.
Oh.
And he's an FTO, and he's like,
Oh.
and he's like me, he's good heart, too good of a heart, but he was trying to help piece the story and all the story. One, to make consistent. Second, articulate everything we got because you don't want to leave things out because it's a fucking mess. Need a helicopter, so it's a mess. And I go, okay, well let's just break it down. And so I had to stop my report, which was money. All right, so what do you got? A, B, and C. Okay, what happened here? Okay, D, E, and F. And then what happened here? Okay, G, H, I. And it get down. So I said, okay, well, you did this, and you did this, right? Okay, well then put down what you did, who you talked to, this and that. But I knew in the back of my head, this was a shit show. I'm like, fuck. And then I said to myself, thank God I didn't go. Because I knew what I would do. Just like you in the case of Los Gatos. Yeah. Especially, motherfucker, you run from, back in the days in the 90s, motherfucker, you run from me, you got hell to pay. You run from me, right? And I was in better shape that time. But I just knew after I helped them out, coached them, typed my report, I got off work at 2 a.m. Oh, and the reason why I'm glad this all timed right because I had court the next day in the morning, and traffic court was early in the morning, so I had to go regardless, right? I came at 6, so I got up at 2. I had to come back. Oh, I came back early again. I'm an early guy, right? So meaning I like to come things early. I get into station 6. These guys are still there, typing their reports, and they're you ever well, you know how it is. You work and you got type reports all night long, dude. Your eyes are burning red. Whatever hair you had, it's all that whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, oh damn, you guys look tore up. Y'all. I go, and all I can say to myself is, whew, I go, I'm gonna do 4 hours of overtime traffic court, get my money, come back, and I was refreshed. But see, for me, and I hate to say I'm selfish, but that was my world right now because I was going through some stuff. Yeah. And then these guys. Anyway, the lesson learned, example learned, like, well, one, it was that afternoon was my shit magnet. In fact, sometimes you got to believe things happen for a reason. Because my supervisor at the time was like, hey, man, you do me a favor? And I'm that guy, bro. If I like you, for my boss and you want me to do something, all right, I'll do it. No problem. I might have you buy me lunch or do something stupid. But, yeah, I said, I'll do that for you, Eric. No biggie, I'll be in and out. And then all this other shit unfolded. And I'd be like, and I was like, thank God that didn't happen. Yeah. Now I bring this up because it was my mental state, my mental health, where I want to be, how I want to do it. And I'm like, fuck that. Because I was at the point where, fuck this. Everyone's a piece of shit. Everyone's an idiot. If not, everyone's a bad guy.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Yeah.
You know? Today, it's not like that. I have a different outlook. I'm a little more, of course, forgiving on things. But, you know, like I said to you guys earlier off camera, Doc, it hurts when I do this. What does my doc say? Well, then don't do that.
Right.
And I've learned that. And maybe too broad of a statement, but I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I used to want to be that go-to guy. You know, I used to create, I don't know if you did it, I do it. I would make templates, and it's a lot of work. So like say cheat sheets, right? I type them out, and then I got to shrink them. And then I got to laminate them. And then I could put a punch hole, so I could put a keyhole, and I put handcuff key on it. And I you know, because, you know, we were, before outer vesta, you know, we wear a uniform. You know, you tuck it in there, right? But it was Ray Ray's resource guy, and that's what I was always, the resource guy. So if you needed a penal code, a vehicle code, or really how to get into something, do something, you don't need me there, because I get tired of people, you know, hey, you know, call Ray Ray. Just pull out your thing, it's there. I put a cuff key, that was like my signature thing. So if you ever get yourself out of something, you have a cuff key, or if you're taken hostage, you know, because, you know, if you get taken hostage, you're gonna make you take your belt off. Well, you know, if you can get to your cuff key in your pocket, then you can maybe take yourself. I don't know, but I was always that guy, and then I learned, just like how I should have learned when I first started. When my first FTO said, "Remember, son, you can't save the entire world, and you're not going to." So now I got to bring it down to like a crime scene, right? Now I got to shrink my crime scene down, and the people I work with, I team with, I kick doors in with. I can only do so much, but I want to help them, and you want to be there. So now, having programs placed, it's something I'm part of now, a curriculum that I'm developing, mental health for law enforcement, because we got to take care of us too.
Dogs. You guys bringing dogs in for law enforcement?
What's that?
Dogs? Any surface dogs or?
Not yet with the dogs.
Okay. Dogs have helped me out so much, man.
Yeah. But I should, because Maverick, my dog, when my father passed, he took a lot of my grief from me. But it's funny because things come and go now. You know, grief is a different process. But having him, let's face it, it kept me busy. Yeah. But it just, even the stupid things he does. Yeah, that's what keeps you. It still gives me joy. And like, see, I see it, the smile on your face, right? But, you know, to wrap this part of the storytelling, you know, mental health is a big key thing, besides the firearm and tactics, because that's just one component of it. We're not always going to be getting into shooting, but I do believe, if you think analytical wise, mindset wise, how do you get yourself out of a rut? How do you deal with what I just asked you earlier about? Oh, so you saw that individual you knew you can't touch, versus justice and vengeance. So how do you, as an individual, how do you cope with that? So that the next day you can put your shirt on, put your hat on, and be like, you know what, I'm good. Yeah. Maybe not the next day, but maybe in the next couple of days, you're like, you know what, I'm good. It's water off my sleeve. Yeah. I don't have to worry, because I've been, I had a little quick background, I've been ridiculed. I've not only been recognized and promoted, I've also been demoted, I've been appraised, I've been recognized, and I've also been suspended. I'm kind of well-rounded. That's why I like doing these podcasts, because like even like when me and him started hooking up, like he's a comedian guy, like he loves comedy, right? And I was like, and then when we started this podcast, I feel like interviewing different people, like it's really helping me figure myself out again. It's like a therapy for me. Mm-hmm. It's very therapeutic, because I'm figuring myself out again. Like each day I'm growing. Like I was just telling my wife, I was like, I've been feeling like more spiritual, and I got to change this, and I got to do this, and just talking to just people, and he's heard me mad. I call him up and I'm fucking bitching, and he's like, what are you mad at? You know, like he has his own ways of talking to me, and I get like, okay, Ryan, like I take that in. I give a lot of tough love. Yeah, he gives tough love, and I think I need that sometimes, because I'm stuck in this hardcore mentality. Like I hit that point where everyone was a piece of shit to me before I left, because I was just bounty hunting so much, where I just keep seeing these fucked up cases, and I was like, this person's a piece of shit, fuck you, fuck this, and that's how I was feeling. Mm-hmm. And I knew there was time for me to get out at that time. Like, okay, this is not for me. Yeah. And everything that was leading me up to like trying to be into law enforcement, trying to get into law enforcement, was like, it's like that's past me now, and I'm okay with it. Mm-hmm. I'm okay just being a fucking dog trainer and a podcaster.
you know, and it took me a while to get there, you know, but I've been
Make you
okay.
happy.
Yeah.
And if it makes other people happy, well, you're happy.
Yeah.
So be it. Don't be, you know, even what I do, I'll be honest with you. Today, I don't think I'd want to be a cop.
Yeah.
You know, the things I've seen, done, been through, the way things have changed. Not that old dogs can't change, but yeah, there's certain things that I just don't agree. But I deal with it because you have to make some sort of changes.
Yeah.
Again, but then the change starts within you.
Yeah.
When you look in that mirror, when you put that ball cap on, whatever ball cap, or you want mask, because every day you go out there, you wear a different mask, you wear a different hat. You know how you apply yourself. And then there's some people who are good. Like I call him Primo. This one guy, and I envy him so much because he was a colleague, he was a cop. He retired before me. He was an older guy, but he had so many different, and that's why I kind of marvel after him. He had so many different hobbies, doing all kinds of different stuff. Love. He was big into foodie. He was from Guatemala. We did talk a lot about women, but the good thing about him was he was never caught up in the mix.
Yeah.
Right? Like you could say, hey, you know what I heard about Eric? Oh, dude, Eric did some this, that, last before, or whatever. And be like, yeah, okay. And just like move on. You know, he wasn't in the soapbox.
Yeah.
He wasn't in your biz. He wasn't about that. And if you came and talked to him for whatever, if you needed something done, whatever favor he would do for you, without any reservation or judgment. He was that guy, which I am, because, you know, it sucks sometimes when you're in the mix of things, because you know things, or because certain people can rely on you because they know things. And I had to learn that too, to delegate, because you find oftentimes not, you know, it sucks. How come Ray Ray's always picking on Eric to do all the podcasts or to record all stuff? And he brings Ryan along, but all Ryan do is push record, stop record, and that's it. You do all the talking, you do everything else. Maybe because you're good at it, maybe you feel confident because you know you want a good podcast. But it's not fair for Ryan, because he's like, hey, I have something to contribute too. This is a table. We all bring something to the table.
Yeah.
I was part of that too at some point, where people came to me, you know, and I didn't want to let them down. Simple as making cheat sheets or whatever the case would be.
Yeah.
Being at a scene. And lastly, I got to give the mic to Bobby. But I knew I was slowly detaching myself. And again, I haven't worked patrol now in years. I'm in a whole different gig altogether, which is better. But I remember I was with a probie. It was another shooting, and we got there, and I told him, park here. And he goes, why? Because when they do the crime scene tape, if we're inside of it, we're gonna be in it, and we're gonna do something, document, whatever. I'd rather be on the outside so we can just leave. Not leave because we don't want to help out. Maybe leave because, you know, there's other things going on in the city, the district,
Yeah.
whatever. But again, that was my mentality at the time. I wanted the way out, and I'm like that to this day in terms of just how I park my car. You know, got to find myself a way out. Make it easier for you to get out. You always find a way. It's hard to get in, and you always gotta have an easy way to get out. It may be hard sometimes, but you gotta find that easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What's your? Go ahead.
I was going to ask you too. You still got to tell us about your patrol car, but so do you want to go into that? What was your car when
Patrol
you first
cars,
started
it's
out?
actually the same vehicle, 1995 Chevy Caprice LT1 Corvette engine.
Oh,
The
shit.
black wheels and the derby caps.
Black wheels with the derby caps, and it was
Dang,
Positrack.
that's nice.
Oh yeah, it hauled. You can hear it when we go code 3 back then. You can hear it around the block. The only issue is horrible. It's like driving a Winnebago.
Like a
What do you guys
boat?
have now?
We have Chargers.
Oh, what's
The
in there?
RTs.
What size motors is that? Like,
We have the
Are they
RTs.
they're not Hellcats.
No Hellcats, but we have the RT
That'd be cool. They give you guys Hellcats. So
Pursuit package.
expensive.
Oh no, that'd be too fast.
Too
Some
heavy
of these-
too, maybe.
Yeah, some of these folks can't handle that V8. Yeah, I
What
mean
do
they're
you think
driving.
about the Teslas becoming patrol cars?
Well, I know one of our
Fremont.
agencies. I
Yeah,
know one of our
Fremont.
agencies does have a.
No
Tesla.
shit, really? Fremont
Oh, yeah.
has Tesla patrol cars?
Yeah, they have.
You
But
know,
what?
Huh?
that's good and all, but electronics, something happens,
Yeah.
wind goes down. I mean, it's good. It's quick. They're quick cars. You ever seen them race?
Yeah, I've heard they're
They
quick
will,
fast.
they'll eat up a Hellcat. They'll eat all kinds of cars.
They're not doing the pits and stuff, right?
The Teslas?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I was
No.
gonna say.
I don't have experience.
It's
still
almost like
rock-
the Camaros. Remember when they had Camaros out?
Oh yeah.
They weren't doing pits, right? Camaros.
No.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Or like
No, they also had the Mustangs. The CHP had the '90s Mustang. 5.0.
Dang, that's
Um,
nice.
oh,
The
yeah.
Coyote engine.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a F-150 with that engine.
I have a question, real quick. When you guys were kids, were you guys ever in patrol cars? Besides the other side of it, were you on the other side of the law?
Like
I know some cops that were like juveniles and they got in trouble as
Yeah,
juveniles.
yeah.
Like,
yeah,
That was me. I'll tell you something.
yeah, that was me, and that's where I first, and that's, growing up, a lot of these kids, haven't been in that situation. Growing up East Side San Jose, plethora of gangsters. You're dealing with, Vietnamese, Cambodian, Laos, Filipinos, blacks, Hispanics, you name it. It is a smorgasbord of gangs.
yeah.
And growing up East Side San Jose, having to walk through many hoods and getting hit up, it's very tasking, to try to do the right thing, but once it spills into school, and you're getting bullied, it comes to a breaking point. Back then, it was far from any, school shootings. Over there, we handled it with fists.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting in trouble, getting suspended, and getting juvenile probation. For so basically a bully just kept on picking on me on junior high, and I leveled him.
That's what gives you becoming a good cop is definitely be able to relate with kids nowadays
Yes.
that have been in trouble or getting in trouble. I think we need that a lot more. Kids.
And a lot of it
Positive.
is the upbringing. Charles can attest to this. I'm sure his parents are very strict. Coming from, I'm sure Brother Ray Ray's pops and mom were really strict. The upbringing. If you don't have a solid upbringing, and that's along with everything. These kids that now that we're dealing with in the school environments. Poor grades, bad attitudes, they feel like they're entitled, entitlement. That is all taught at home, then it spills into the school environment, and these teachers are like begging for help because they're getting ridiculed and picked on.
Some.
Do you
Some.
Yeah.
do you see the difference between, because you guys deal with heavy hitters, like I'm talking about prison, like we're talking about the other prison gangs, compared to the internet gangsters?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you see? You see a huge difference between those two? Like the real gangsters are not putting themselves on Instagram, right? Or
The dummies are.
Or the dummies are.
The dummies
Right,
are.
they're more the internet gangsters, right?
Yeah.
Attention
Like
whores.
the attention or
Yeah.
Wouldn't they
Sorry.
also be considered the snitches too, in lack of a better term, maybe? Like to the other gang members, like that are quiet and
Depends
in
on what it
seclusion.
is.
Yeah. It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on which.
But I mean, I wonder if there's a positive light with that. You know what I mean? Just because I feel like even in the police, like if as a current police officer, you got to kind of be careful what you talk about and how you express opinions, because even other police officers could take what you say the wrong way.
Sure.
They could judge you for it. But I feel like the same goes for the gangs. Like if these guys are on A&E and talking about shit, and someone's like, "Well, hold on a minute," like you were like fucking getting
And-
us sodas when we were doing all this shit, and they're watching, kind of like how, like, I guess for lack of a better word, like how the mob looked at the people that were like Ricoing them and snitching on them. It's like you guys were just low level nobodies, and you ruined a whole operation. But
we've also seen it in our community of the jiu-jitsu community, people throwing gang signs up or signs up, right? Like, and it's like a point of like,
Where? At the school?
no, just like in general on
no,
Instagram.
just like in general on the internet, not even with our circles, because I've obviously, like, that's not why or what that's about for me. But yeah,
Wait,
no,
I'm
I
sorry. Throw some.
So there's people that do martial arts that throw, like, they'll win
Oh.
a tournament and
But I
they'll
think
throw
that's-
signs up. Or,
well, but to me, the rationale on that is that's just them putting their twist and their street on to the martial arts.
Well,
'Cause,
then it comes down to, if you've been in martial arts like we have, I've done 30 years of it.
how
since
many?
I was 9.
Yeah.
It also comes down to your instructor, and your school.
Oh, for sure. The
It comes
respect.
down to what example you lead.
Yeah.
Respect. Remember, martial arts. Yes, it can be violent, but it's so we can avoid violence. It's supposed to be self-defense. Everything else is for sport,
Right.
for a competitive level. But now you want to take it to the next level, because now you add ego to it, or you throw some. Um,
Exactly.
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 But
And that's not the
can be
martial
taught.
art. That's just your personal. That's your personal twist on
But
it
then if
all.
you're a school that also condone it,
Yeah.
I look at it kind of like
maybe-
religion.
or make it be complicit. Don't really have to say anything.
Yeah.
But you know, like if Eric throws a sign up, knowing you know, maybe in your head you're like this. You learn right. You don't have to say nothing else. I know
Yeah.
guys are like that, but that comes down to instructor.
Yeah.
You know,
Because they're also
humility is a big thing. When you see humility, there's that one MMA fighter. God, I forgot his name. I think he's called like he's the smiling fighter. Always smiles, always smiling, but he's just
Smalling
righteous.
Sam.
Is it Smiling Sam?
Yeah, I
Like,
think
he's
so.
a good dude, and everyone. So for some reason, I mean, I'm sure he'll have some opponents and guys who don't like him, but it's like he's so infectious, and he's really just a solid good dude.
I think he's Smiling Sam. He smiles at every fight.
He smiles every fight, but he's literally a genuine good dude.
Maybe that was like his handshaking though.
They showed another
Yeah.
guy, Andre, a Russian dude, or Korean dude. Andre, for his last name. He was being punked all through from weigh-ins all the way through to the fight.
Oh, like
And-
Islam.
Yeah, I think it was him. And
Yeah, they don't deal with
he-
disrespect.
He TKO'd this dude, and even though dude was bullying him, he went to his corner, hugged him, and just. But see, sometimes that type of humility goes to show who's the better person is. It's your
Yeah.
actions, right?
Because I like.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, and then to just build right on that is like that person's got their shit together because they're not looking at it as like it's like you said, the ego gets in the way of everything because it's you against the whole world, right?
Yeah.
And it's not reality, and you're also putting this king shit on yourself that isn't real either. So it's like I just commend martial arts because if you can be humbled
Mhm.
in a controlled environment rather than dying, that's the whole point,
and
right?
when we see these schools like throwing gang signs up, it's like, or throwing signs up or flipping off the camera, it's like you are a representative of your school,
Yeah.
and this is what you're coming from. But also to me, it's like, one, are you a wannabe? And two, if you're not, you're looking like your school's gang affiliated now, right? Like now you're using that as a recruitment tool for the younger generation to come in, and now you're recruiting them to be gang members because they're doing the same thing. So it's like, where are you drawing that line up? Because is your school a gang member school, like a gangster school, or is your school a thug school, or is your school really truly about the art? You know, that's how, because we see, and I've seen it on different levels of recruitment of gangs using internet to recruit people. We have podcasts now that are going out there and recruiting gang members. You know,
That's
you've seen it
ridiculous.
from different levels of CDs. You know, now we've seen it in the martial art world, and not only that, we also see it in the MMA world too. Like they're using this as a recruitment tool. You know?
Anywhere there's opportunity,
Yeah.
and I'd say this, but wherever evil can find an opportunity,
Mhm.
it got hot. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it's now 100 views.
Yeah, it's okay. We're getting almost done here.
No, but all I can say about that when it comes to like teaching and being in the martial arts and either running a dojo or whatever. We talk about pride versus ego now. Ego of an individual who's out there and does all whatever, and it doesn't be gangster, but just just rambunctious, obnoxious, whatever. Would you want that person on line with you when you come show up on a stage? You as the head instructor, you have your entire class of prize fighters, knowing, and everyone knows that that one guy, he's a knucklehead. He's always taunting. He does all kind of talk smack, this, and that. But he sticks out as that one individual, as ego, or would you, owning a dojo, knowing you've developed a dozen fighters who are all exceptional fighters, walk the line with you? To me, that's pride. That's proud.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that than have one individual who's always with the ego. Some people say maybe Conor McGregor is kind of like that. I don't know. There are a lot of people, and I don't know. Will it stop? And no. Just like sometimes I don't like to go to MMA fights. Why? Because everyone wants out there, everyone wants to puff their chest, want to be badass. And you bump into them, all of a sudden they want to fight you.
That is true.
Or you're an Eric Stone. I remember I used to punk him when I was 9 years old. Right? Again, sometimes you got to remove yourself from that thing
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not have to react, not have to do it. Just like in law enforcement, the agitators, people that come at us sideways, with their cameras in our face, right? You just ignore them.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the people, good people will see the good things.
Mhm.
They'll identify the bad things, of course,
Yeah.
but it'll also give you that. I think it gives you another level because it gives you more practice. Saying like, obviously, you see who taught who. Humility, being a team player, you know. Situation where like you're a tournament and you don't have any other opponents outside of your school, so now you can have two of your own students and fight for something. See how they react. See how the winner reacts afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
If they still are a team, because that's what it comes down to, a team.
Yep.
You know.
Well, and even if they're not from your school, they're not your enemy. You
Yeah.
know, so I think it's good to have that distinction. You know, it's
Mhm.
like this is sport. This isn't life or death.
Sometimes maturity doesn't come right away automatically. Sometimes it needs a little pushing. But if you're in that position where you can provide that, hey, just remember, folks, you know, at the end we're on the same team or we're doing this, because it's different now. If I came across it, we're getting rid of all MMA fights. Now you're from a different school. You're from a different school. We fought. Our students have fought one another. We've lost. We won. Now I come in and say, you know what? As a politician, because it hurts their head or whatever. From this day forward, I'm enacting a new bill. No more MMA sports. I guarantee your 3 schools, you're all 20 different fighters each are all going to come together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There you
Yeah, I
go.
think it's good to practice mercy too. Sometimes when you're in an advantageous position, it's nice to be a little like it's humility. It's
Mhm.
like recognizing the position and understanding. I don't need to like take this win so hard, and I can make this a learning experience for the other person and help them, because I feel like if anyone's ever helped you in a position where you've lost, it's nice to have the person that's the bigger person kind of come to you and be like, "Hey, good job," because then you're like, you know what? Yeah, I can. I think it helps them move on too.
But he did that to me last week too, because I was like, oh, like I used to fight MMA and compete, and I was like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, right? And he's all, well, go fucking do it. You know, let me know. What'd you say? Like, let me know how you feel afterwards. Your body's gonna be fucking wrecked.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
he was like, "I want to compete in MMA." I'm like, "Go ahead,
Go
go right ahead, dude."
Twice, like I am older.
2
I wanna
days
go
after
again.
that first one, you're gonna fucking be like, "I'm
he
done."
brought my ego down. I was like, okay, I can't
That's good. That's
do
good
that.
friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you follow boxing like Manny Pacquiao, and only because I'm a big Manny Pacquiao fan, but half the opponents he's fought and beaten later, if not maybe a small percentage before, have gone to his camp to learn to fight with him.
Mhm.
It's no longer adversarial because then you learn. To me, that's, again, I use the word art. To me, that's the art of fighting. When you have people who you fought and maybe they've lost to you, but they come to you and you're showing them positive wealth,
Yeah.
right?
You're building people up.
You're building. See, to me, that's the important thing: succession. If you understand that this world is bigger than me, and one day I'm gonna leave this world, I'm not gonna hold this world forever. Bring it to the next person, to the next level.
Well, just like you said too, with the way you handle your reports, you know, you're giving it to the next guy to help him out or help her out. You know, because it's like at the end of the day, you could be lazy and you could go home to your family and go home a little quicker, but you're saving people probably days, if not weeks of work, just by cataloging what happened and doing your due diligence. And
That or you don't want it to come back to you.
well, and that too,
Right.
but it's
You
still
left
a
this out.
commendable way to behave. It's you could be half-assed about it and just be like, well, I'm done. I did my shit today, and what did they do? You know, so it's like I feel like you could always have that perspective, and it's cool, and I applaud you for being bigger than that, because I don't think anyone expects anyone to do that. That's a lot. So I think that's cool.
Before we end, I have to ask one question. It's okay.
Oh yeah, go for it.
What's your everyday carry?
Everyday carry.
You don't have to name everything because I know you're working, but
You're doing the Sean Ryan question.
yeah, I have to
Yeah.
do the Sean Ryan question.
Well, I carry. Well, I have my knives. I also have 357.
As a carry?
Yeah,
Fuck.
it's my boot
It's a
gun.
big ass
We're
fucking.
like, oh shit.
Yeah, so I'm ready.
Take out a
No.
bear in case
It's
you
like
need to.
what was that? Cleanswood with that? Didn't he have a 357 Cleanswood?
Oh, that's Dirty Harry.
yeah,
Yeah,
Dirty Harry. Yeah, Dirty
I
Harry.
think it was a 357, right?
Yeah,
Holy shit!
44
Or
Magnum.
44 Magnum. That's right.
That's too big.
I was reading that
That's what she said.
I was reading that some of the Rugers are pretty good for everyday carries.
Yeah, Rugers are good.
Yeah, they have like a smaller one.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it. Ruger. It's one of the Rugers. It's like an L something. I was just reading about it the other day. Super small. But it was like you won't blow your dick off with that. They
Yeah.
said.
Shot placement. It may
So-
not be high capacity, but it's shot
If
placement.
it was a
Yeah.
smaller gun, it wouldn't be a boot gun then, right?
Yeah.
It's just the fucking barrel and everything.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
gotta-
like right now, it's hot. So if I was wearing a tank top, then I would probably carry a semi-auto. But
yeah.
So smart guys, do they carry it in front or the back? Because I met some marshals, and the marshals were like, they carry back here a lot.
it all depends. Everybody's different. Everybody's
Play how
different.
quick you can pull it, right?
Yeah, everybody's different.
I was always scared, like even working to put it right here, because I was like, I'm gonna blow my dick off.
Yeah, I never carry.
My
front.
everyday carry, unfortunately, I have to say it like this. It's based upon what I wear, how I dress. I don't go into the make of the model of what I carry unless we go in the range of that. That's I don't want to tell you video or say it specifically, but that's just me. But I will tell you that whatever you carry, because I don't believe in like I carry this and this is what you should shoot because you shoot good. No,
Yep.
You carry what you think shoots good and comfortable. Because I tell you what, if you find something that's a sweet spot to you, you're gonna keep shooting. You're gonna like it. You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
I carry something. I shoot something that's either big or relatively too small in terms of power of the gun, I guess. You may not like it. It may not even work for you. See, for me, it's different. I believe in the attitude that you carry what works for you, but you got to be proficient with it. You got to train. You got to know how it is. You got to know yourself, how you want to carry, whether you carry in the back, the side, the front, your armpit, your chest, your nuts, your ankle.
Yeah.
Me, it's dependent upon what I wear, what my mission assignment, what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm going to the pool. I'm in the house. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. If I go to church, if I'm going out of town, I'm an outdoorsman. I do this thing called overland. I go out. I have a few things. Of course, I worry about bears and animals, but it's not so much a specific weapon, but whatever weapon platform manufacturer may be. If it's good for you and it works for you, whether it's big or small, you'll work around it. Meaning, on a hot day, it's gonna be hard to conceal a big gun. So then, okay, find a small gun, but be proficient in it. I know guys who buy a small gun. Okay, they qualified it, and they carry it, but they don't really shoot a lot. And again, it comes down to perishable skills.
Yeah.
A lot of guys. I get a lot of guys now and say, "Dan, you're at that age or level, or you get two types of people. The guys who are actually my peers of my age would be like, why do you still do all that? Like, you're going to get yourself a gunfight or this. Like, oh, you guys remember, I'm a shit mag now. I'm always getting the shit, even at my age. But second most of all, if I'm in an opportunity where I can help stop a threat, whether to protect the lives of innocent, and that's it, I don't care about property or whatever, so be it. But you got to be proficient with it. And the young guys, they kind of give you credit. They're like, wow, you're, let's face it, they call me boomer. Look at these boomers, man, fucking carrying and this and that. That's, they kind of get the respect, right? Whereas it seems like the people of my age and era, like, you don't need all that or this and that. And that's fine, to each his own. But I'll leave you with this. It's better to have it, not need it, than to need it, not have it.
Oh, yeah.
How about do you guys? What do you think about the tasers? Illegal or illegal in California for civilians?
They make tasers for civilians.
X26.
There are civilianized model tasers.
And
I was
there's
gonna say, they got
certain
stun
that carry
guns.
X26.
Yeah.
I got my wife's got a stun.
The only so in
No,
terms
the ones
of
that shoot the X26
Oh, that's a
models.
taser though.
yeah, so in terms of the taser, if you carrying it like a security officer, you have to have a license.
Yeah.
You have to have a license. If
Okay,
as
so
a
there's
private
X26,
person,
yeah.
you can carry it.
Yeah.
It's like
X26.
It's no different than a knife, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's no different than a knife.
Like pepper spray.
Yeah, pepper spray.
Pepper spray. I can tell you this: I do carry pepper spray, more so because of my dog.
Yeah.
So if you and I both know when it comes to breaking up dogs, sometimes especially with a shepherd and like it's a pit, like you're in an area where it's gonna be pit bulls. Like, if you don't understand, dog pit bulls are kind of bred to fight, other dogs. Whereas German shepherds are a little different, but nonetheless, if I gotta use pepper spray, I either both my dog or the other person's dog will grab them by their hind leg and pull them, lift them up. Because if you try to take your dog and lift them up, the other dog who's the
Take the face with
they
them.
look at as it's like it's a string, it's a toy now, and that's why they keep going. So you got to go behind them. But I just cheat. If I have to, I never had to yet. But if I got to spray the dog, I'm gonna spray the dog like a mailman.
Yeah.
But with civilians, whether you have the civilian class pepper spray or even if you have the stronger pepper spray, you have things you can spray and walk.
Yeah.
Spray and walk. If you can later when you're safe, if you need to, contact the local PD or whoever that, hey, I just, I was in fear of my life and some guy tried to come at me, whatever. You're on a jogging trail, spray away, whatever.
Yeah. I carry my. Everyone asks me what's my everyday carry. I say my dogs.
Yeah.
My shepherd's my everyday.
If it wasn't for the heat, And not knowing the layout here and everything, I mean, I would have brought Maverick with me.
Yeah.
He's a big deterrent.
Yeah.
Definitely a big deterrent when Jeanette walks.
Yeah. I got service dog paperwork, so when I was telling you I'm going to go to the high school for the graduation, I'm taking one of my dogs with me because I arrested a lot of people out there, so I'm like, I gotta have something.
Yeah.
Or I'll call Bobby.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be there.
It's I don't know, like I know, like going to like, I'm not talking to people who are like moving out of state, and a lot of these states now, they're not even issuing CCW permits. If you're law abiding, you pass a background check, they're allowing you to carry a gun.
Is that Utah or something?
Utah, Idaho, Florida, Texas.
Utah's pretty chill.
This county, they're pretty big on CCWs here, supposedly. So I don't know. My wife's trying to get hers right now through here, but I have a niece. She has one.
Yeah.
I don't know how she got it. I love you, but I don't know how you got it. But she has a CCW.
I know from jewelers, real estate agents, jewelers. I know a person who he works for a cellular company, but he works on all the power lines, right?
Yeah.
So, but he said, all I told him was that because I go in remote areas.
Yeah.
By myself.
What kills me is I see some people on Facebook and they have CCWs and they're showing it off. I'm like, why? Now those people know where you're carrying your fucking firearm at.
Yep.
Well, because those people they probably also don't practice shooting and they're showboating.
Can I ask one last thing? I'm sorry.
Yes.
You gotta just start asking and stop saying that.
Yeah.
So the question is this: can we get a policy for officers? And it's always killed me when I was working, is I see the officers carrying knives on their tack vest here.
Okay.
So, you guys think it's dangerous or not dangerous?
It can be dangerous, and it's sad because if usually policies are in place because somebody fucked up. that's what it comes down to. A policy is in place because somebody fucked up. But see, there's a difference between a person who knows how to work a knife and how to use that knife.
Yeah.
See, there's a difference between a rescue knife versus a defense knife. Will it be looked down upon, maybe frowned upon? Yeah, but say you're in a situation, maybe your gun, I'll say malfunction, but what I'm leading to is, say you get your gun taken from you, or something may happen, and all you have to resort to is a knife. I guess that's what you have to do. Policy-wise, are you asking if we have a policy or should there be a policy?
Yeah, it should be a policy of carrying knives right here. I see a lot of officers carry knives right here.
Oh yeah.
And for me, like when I had my vest, I would never carry it. Like even the bounty hunter, I would try to keep it somewhere else, just because I always have people grab onto my shit. Like we get in a fight, and that's the first thing they're grabbing on is to my fucking plate.
Same argument with like guys who carry your spare mags on, like everything, basically when you wear your tack vest or we don't for the regular patrol guys, we don't even try to use the word tack vest. You're wearing your vest, your outer garment gear, whatever. It really comes down to that individual, right? It comes down to like, are you proficient with that knife? What are you using that knife for, right? I mean, it's cool to cut things up, open letters, envelopes, I guess.
Lemons.
But,
Well, I've seen dudes that we even worked with bounty hunters that have big old fucking daggers. I'm like, why? Fucking someone's gonna grab that dagger, dude. And
I mean, it's all preference. If you're, it all depends. On the situation. If you're allowing a bail skip or a warrant suspect,
get that close to you.
Get that close to you. That's a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's problem number one. Problem number two. Now you're allowing this suspect to grab a hold onto you.
Yeah,
that's problem number two. So it all depends. I mean, I know guys that are proficient with knives that carry their knives up here in the front, but I'm not seeing. I know a lot of guys that carry their gun right here. I do not carry my gun pointing towards my balls. That is no. That's. I'm like you.
Yeah.
I'm good with the firearm safety, but it just takes that one time. And
yeah.
In the end, you're held accountable.
It's not worth it.
No way.
And then if you shoot it and put it back hot, you don't want to do that either. So
Charles, you carry your gun right there?
Yeah, that's no.
I mean, but hey, some guys are into some kinky stuff. So
yeah.
In regards to policy, unless someone messes up, is usually when a policy will be in place because use the word proficient in the knife world because since I study eskrima, we use knives. Thing is with that is the person may know how to use a knife, but do they know retention skills
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to hold the knife, secure the knife, to avoid from it being other than you giving it to the bad guy to stab you with it.
Yeah.
You know, you see that video that just came out the other day, and
German police
there's
officers.
a German police officer got stabbed. Oh man, I was like, ooh.
No, no.
Yeah.
And that
It's
guy,
viral.
he knew. You could see the way he was using the knife. He had some sort of
Oh, knife fighting skills.
knife fighting skills.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
without a doubt.
your average Joe Blow with a knife, especially if you're hitting the head and skull, there's a tendency, depending what kind of knife, of course, but if you have a knife and you hit something hard, if you're not proficient enough to know that when you're going to hit something hard, you better grip that thing tight, because if
Just
not,
like punching.
That's
you're gonna punch that knife, and that blade you're gonna slide, and you're gonna
Yep.
cut you're gonna cut your own
that's
hand.
an art we should definitely try to take or interview.
Like
us.
Krav Maga type shit.
No, it's Screamo.
I
yeah,
got someone
man.
you should talk to.
Yeah,
about that,
because
because that's
Yeah.
you know
Screamo's
it's crazy, man. Those guys all
What country of origin is that?
Philippines, right?
Philippines.
Oh, that's the Philippines. Okay,
Those
cool.
guys are dangerous, man. Even with the sticks.
Yeah, because I was gonna say it's some people said it wrongly, but don't they always call it like stick fighting? It's like a variation of stick
Well-
fighting. That's only one part of it though, right? Because they use like everything.
Oh yeah, they use everything. So, they traditionally use two sticks, bamboo sticks, but in relation, it's supposed to be knives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like sparring. They're just
Yeah,
practicing.
Well,
I mean-
so I'll tell you that the stick is really just an extension. But what we teach, what we show you, is with the stick and with the knife, it makes you that much versatile. I don't know why it does that. I'm not
Yeah, I just
it's
train.
coiled in its ghost.
Yeah.
Speaking of spirits,
You know, it's being proficient with the use of the platform and how to get, you know, and how to manipulate your opponent. You know, I mean, if you see on some of my Instagram, you'll see some of my stuff there. But again, you got to be proficient. You can be a cool dude. I know a few that carry all kind of cool gear in their stuff, right? But you know, sometimes depending on their attitude, it makes you question like, are they really that proficient? You know, on what they do. But you know, it's like shooting. I have an outer vest. I have a tack vest. But oftentimes, I train towards my reality, what I'm getting into. Yeah, sure enough, it's a mission specific, and if I'm banging down the door, I'll have my tack vest. You know, but other times when I train and do stuff, I generally don't have any vest on. I mean, yeah, okay, you gotta worry about people on the line, whoever you're shooting with, and that's true too. But then I also train how I train in public, or what I'm going to be doing, how I fight, train like I fight like you train. And you know, it's funny because I remember one time, some guy, and it was a small class, but we were all spread out. He was like, "Hey, dude, put on your tack vest." And I'm like, "You know why?" He said, "You have a tack vest?" "Yeah, it's in my truck." But he was like, "Hey, you should put on your tack vest so we can take a photo and post on." I go, "No." See, that's you know, and he was a SWAT guy, and more power to those guys, you know. But I like to joke. The SWAT guys are great, and I guess more so if you're cross trained, but. You know, usually we do all the investigation on stuff, and then we lead you guys to go ahead and kick the door down.
Go do your
so they're
job.
the D tackles of the.
But usually we call you. Sorry, you guys are usually at the end of the cycle. Okay, we call you guys all right now.
Yeah.
But that's cool. You know, we all different units. Whether you ride a motorcycle, whether you're a SWAT, whether you're a patrolman, whether you're a detective, whether you're a supervisor or not, you know, we all have our little jabs to one another. And we all
Yeah.
do things. That's just
Well, and every military faction's the same way.
It's, you know,
Everyone
it's just-
talks shit about each
Oh,
other.
yeah.
It's just your culture.
Yeah.
So before we leave the end of podcast, we always have a saying. Do you guys have any sayings you guys want to say?
Or like a quote.
A quote that you like to leave our listeners with?
I just pulled mine up. That it's not mine, but
Oh, perfect.
Found it.
I'm usually quoting someone else that's quoting something. So
Oh, I have a saying. This is a retired commander, Commander Dave Crable, Senior. Very knowledgeable. One of his sayings was, "Go out there, do your job, just as long as it's safe and legal." And this is to all the patrol officers, deputies, CHP out there, state troopers. Go out there, do your job, just as long as it's safe and legal.
mine's the author's unknown, but I just kind of took heed to this. More so not because I do a lot of training, but basically it's excuses make today easy, but tomorrow harder. Discipline makes today hard, but tomorrow easier. Unknown.
I like
I don't
that.
know.
Both are really good.
So we would love to come out and interview you guys again. Maybe if in your cities.
How about the beach, brother?
I know, we
Ryan?
were talking about that.
The beach is
We could
just
do
as long
like
as
a
we have a
morning-
power source in Monterey. You guys hearing that, Monterey, folks?
Yeah.
We won't need the
on
lights
beach.
probably. I'll figure that out.
We could figure it out.
On the
It should be
beach.
chill.
It'd be good because I've been trying to take
I'm
my
an
wife
office
out to the
setting.
beach too,
We'll be an
Yeah.
office setting, neutral office setting.
Yeah.
It's not too far.
wherever we can. I mean, I think it would be good to give the listeners like
That way
another
when you have air
interview.
conditioning.
another interview.
Well, at
and
the
maybe
beach, we won't need the air conditioner. That's
maybe we
one
can get
good
your
thing.
Muay Thai coach come on too. That'd be good.
What?
Or a boxing coach or Muay Thai coach. That'll be good. But yeah, I mean, for you guys listening, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, like button, subscribe to the Wolves Den podcast. And also, do you guys want to give your Instagrams or you want to keep
Yeah,
your-
can I do a quick
Yeah, give your
shout outs? Yeah, so my Instagram is sheepdog. Quick shout outs to the Wolves Howl for having us out here, Brother Charles as well. First and foremost, one and only Dive Chick, Tactical Inc., Arctic Hatters, Inc. 50, Paracord Dude, American Spartan Apparel, Salinas Vibes, Justa James, Jordan Oaks Music, The Spotlight with KB, and Overflow Tap House. Appreciate you all
Oos.
for all the
Thank you.
support.
Oh yeah.
Thanks
Any
to you
shows?
guys, Wolves Den podcast for hosting us and allowing us to be here and share a little tidbit of what our world is,
Oh, yeah.
based on
Yeah.
our experience, opinions, and of course I give everything to God first.
Yes.
You know, it would be good too if we can actually all get together and maybe get Hector Bravo on our podcast, and all three of us, all of us, could do a podcast with him. Yeah, he's I love it. I listen to his podcast every day.
I got someone you should reach out to.
Yeah,
He's a bad dude. He's retired, but he's a bad dude.
you guys hear that? We're gonna have some bad motherfuckers on our
Sir.
podcast.
Already did.
I learned from him.
These guys
Yeah.
are
I'll
awesome.
say that I learned from him.
And then thank you
No,
guys.
Thank you for putting the word out.
Yeah.
We're not all monsters.
No.
That's one thing I've did learn. While you go out, son, while you're going out there chasing monsters, don't become a monster yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a story,
Yeah.
and we can all learn from it. So that's why we do it too.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you guys for tuning in.
All right, guys. Later.
I'll